that car since February 2001. Of course, Richard Childress, a former driver himself, he was no slouch behind the wheel.
Well, actually, he got out behind the wheel to put Earnhardt in the race car.
Yep.
Probably the smartest move he ever made in his, well, I know it is the smartest move he ever made in his life.
He'll tell you. And a great moment here tonight.
Can we get Childress to stop?
Yeah. You don't think he'll just fall in with the field and say, let's go, do you? Stands out most in my mind was that phenomenal win in the Daytona 500. Dale Earnhardt,
he won it awfully bad.
Oh yeah, had been the dominant driver at that racetrack, but it just eluded him so many times cruelly. Never forget 1990 when he was halfway down the back straightaway with about a 100-yard lead on second place on the last lap and cut down a tire. And he pulled his car into the garage after the race and dropped his hands from the steering wheel and just stared straight ahead. Couldn't believe what just happened to him. When he won that race finally, 1998, the scene of jubilation was just unbelievable.
And it went on for hours afterwards. I talked to him at 8, 9 o'clock that night, and he was still going on.
All right, what's going on here?
Maybe Childress is going to try to do a donut.
He's been taking lessons from Harvick. What a thrill. See that racetrack on that race car on the track again. Richard Childress in tonight's victory lap, honoring Dale Earnhardt. To tonight's race as we get set to go racing. Dave, how about it?
Well, Alan, Jimmy Johnson won 2 races at this track in May. The buzz in the garage area is, from the competitors, he's just as good as he was then. Crew Chief Chad Knaus told his guys in a pre-race team meeting, we're better than we were in May. Let's do it again. To Matt Yoakum.
Dave, the title may be Matt Kenseth to lose, but it's certainly Kevin Harvick's to win. He has closed at what seemed like an almost insurmountable deficit of 539 points out of first, now to only 259. He's never won here in Charlotte, but he came close back in 2001, finishing second. He told me his car is very good, happy, even with the shortened practice, with his car tonight and his chances. Marty?
Matt Tony Stewart grew up racing on Saturday nights. This atmosphere is what he loves. 3 of his 16 career Winston Cup wins have come under the lights. Tony Stewart riding the high of 3 straight top 5s, but not a win since Pocono in June. I talked to him a moment ago. He said, that very well may change today. The car is terrific. In fact, finished 3rd at Dover just 3 weeks ago. Bill?
Marty, championship leader Matt Kenseth starts 29th in car 17 after his 2 worst finishes of the season. 33rd at Talladega and 36th last week at Kansas City. But on Thursday, his crew chief Robbie Reiser told me that this team does not have the attitude that the sky is falling. In fact, in their pre-practice meeting, he told the team here at the track, if we simply all pull on the rope in the same direction, we'll be fine. In 1992, Alan Kowicki overcame a 278-point deficit in the final 6 races to win the championship by 10 points. Tonight, Matt Kenseth leads the championship standings by 259 points with 6 races remaining. Alan?
Matt Kenseth coming from deep in the field tonight. There's a 500-mile race on a 1.5-mile track. So the numbers are 334 laps to make up the distance. Better than $4.2 million on the line for the 43 drivers in the field.
And you see the lights are off the pace car, which means when these guys come off turn 4, the pace car is going to get out of the way. As he does, the flagman's going to wave the green flag, and they're going to charge on at turn 1.
Glad you're with us. Prime time NASCAR on NBC. We're underway.
see a lot of sparks in these cars, especially at the beginning of the races. Their tire pressures are down, so these cars are bottoming on the racetrack, and that's what the sparks are coming from.
Ryan Newman leads in the 12. It's Jeff Gordon second, Jimmy Johnson third, Bill Elliott fourth, and Kevin LePage fifth, all single file. Then Tony Stewart sixth, followed by Elliott Sadler seventh. Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the butt car on the move, trying to move up from 10th starting spot. Working on Todd Bodine in the 54.
I think early in this races, everybody will be on the bottom. That's where everybody wants to run. That's where the grip is. But it won't take long before these cars start working up the racetrack and using that high line.
Fifth place, Tony Stewart in Big Orange, trying to take a spot from Kevin LePage in the 4.
And where Kevin LePage came through turns 1 and 2 that time, looked like he was on the high line before this night's over. That will not be the high line. That'll be the middle groove.
Elliott Sadler, 38, following Stewart through to pick up 6th.
Harvick.
Harvick is in 8th place in the Goodwrench car.
Tony Stewart in the 20 and LePage in the 4 so far are putting up the best spark show.
Yeah. And if you're new to NASCAR, those sparks are not necessarily a cause for concern.
No, it's just the bottom of the race car, which is metal, going down and dragging the asphalt racetrack. We see sparks.
And you really want to run these cars as low as you can to the racetrack. It just seems like the lower you get to the racetrack, the more grip you have. But you got to be careful not to hit the racetrack too hard because it will upset the car.
Harvick, 29 for 7th place on the page. Kevin, the Vermonter, sliding back a little bit.
Battle for second spot. Here comes Jimmy Johnson, the 48, going by Jeff Gordon at 24.
Teammates, those two, both drivers for Hendrick Motorsports.
Jeff says, okay, Jimmy, you see if you can catch Rocket Man Newman. Matt?
Well, BP, I talked to Chad Knaus, Jimmy's crew chief. He told me they made some slight spring changes after the minor practice session they had. Chad said they've gone back more than what they had as setup-wise when they won the 600. They tried a little something different in practice. Jimmy didn't quite feel as comfortable, so they went back to what was tried and true and took him to victory lane back in May.
Jeff Gordon losing another spot, 2 more spots. Elliott was by in the 9. Tony Stewart, the 20, goes by.
Gordon's car not handling to his satisfaction.
It doesn't seem like Jeff can keep his car down really, really low, especially in 3 and 4. Like Tony Stewart in the 20 car.
I think there might have been a little bang of lights partially out up in turn 4 these first couple laps. Looks like they've got them coming back on. There was a dark spot on the track when they dropped the green flag. Not that the track was dark. Wasn't an unsafe condition, but it just looked like they had maybe a partial issue there.
Bobby Labonte, the 18, goes by LePage in 4.
Labonte, former winner here, 2 different occasions, won this race in 2000. And had that thrilling race with Jamie McMurray in this race 1 year ago, Labonte did.
Bill, we see the 24 car slipping back. What's he saying?
He's saying it twice, Benny. First it was all of a sudden it's loose in the middle off. Now it's really loose middle off.
Robbie Loomis, the crew chief, told me in the 24 car they had it turning real good in the middle.
That's too good.
Maybe it's too good.
When the driver says real loose, that's not good. What he's having to do is he's having to really tiptoe on that throttle. He can't really get after the gas pedal hard because when the car's loose, it'll spin out. So he's going to have to get after it slow, where the guy right next to him right now, Elliott Sadler, he's mashing the gas and going by.
I want you to pay attention to which driver leads lap 50 tonight. You'll need to know that information to enter to win a trip to New York City and serve as a special correspondent at this December's Winston Cup Award ceremony. It's the NASCAR Big Apple Sweepstakes. Pay attention to who leads lap 50. So Elliott Sadler up to 5th place and Jeff Gordon back to 6th after starting in 2nd.
And you know, another bad thing about a loose car, Benny, is when you're loose, especially there's a lot of bumps in turns 3 and 4. And when you have a loose race car and you get on those bumps in 3 and 4, it even aggravates the car more.
And when you go across that and the car's trying to go sideways, it just goes sideways that much more. You're right, Wally.
Ryan Newman, the man who's dominated NASCAR Winston Cup racing recently, out in front. Anything happens, we'll come back.
clear. Goes in, hits the left front a little bit, pushes real bad through the center. 10-4. Not bad, 3 and 4. Just a little tight there, but it's real tight in the middle of 1 and 2. Great job. Settle in. Little free in the center, initially on gas, and then it gets tied off. But we'll get you fixed up on the first stop. Slowly coming to me, though. This is coming to me, but the tight's getting worse.
Tony Stewart, 20 comes up beside him.
That's for third place and by. So Newman started on pole at the opening 17 laps, but he's fallen back now to fourth. Dave, you got more for us on Newman?
Yeah, unfortunately, the list of bad things is growing. Now the car is very loose in to the corner, which means the back end wants to come around entering the corner. Very tight off. Bill?
Tony Stewart of the 20 car, just a little tight, but really very happy with his car. In fact, he told his crew, if we get the lead, we're going to be the fastest car out here. Tell them to look out.
I will mark that one down. Tony Stewart tried to deal with lap traffic. Derek Cope in the 37 car is the first driver to be put a lap down by the leader.
Right now, Tony Stewart, as you can see, about 2.6 seconds behind the leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Last lap, because he was trying to overtake the Derek Cope car, he was a little bit slower than the leader, Jimmy Johnson. Now, how about the championship frontrunner, Matt Kenseth?
Clear. Leader, good lap. Laps right there, 25. Still outside, clear high. In front of you, leader's been running 50. Clear. 38's the next car. Good line you had, same good line.
He's out in front of Bill Elliott by 9/10 of a second with Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, and now Bobby Labonte rounding out the top 5. This championship leader here, Matt Kenseth, he's on a mission, and the mission is get to the front.
He's doing a pretty good job of it. Started back, 29th, and he just took over the 11th position. Atta boy.
Derek Cope has just taken his car to the garage. Be the first driver out tonight. as you watch Jamie McMurray in the 42, the defending winner of this race, moving up to try and take 12th from Todd Bodine.
I talked to McMurray's crew down in the garage area a few minutes ago, and they told me that he ran the NASCAR Busch Series race this morning and this afternoon, and they changed the car, put a little bit more wedge in the car for tonight's race, because in the Busch race it never did tighten up. The car started loose and stayed that way. So,
and they seemed like they were one of the only cars that were loose. And there's a lot of cars in the Busch race that were tight, but tell you what, he's hooking the bottom right now. It means he's liking that car.
Matt Kenseth by Kevin Harvick for another spot. Put Kenseth into the top 10 in 50 miles.
wow.
How about our Stacker 2 NASCAR Winston Cup track fact? This racetrack was the first super speedway, the first big track to put lighting in. It cost them $1.7 million. 1,200 fixtures. It's a really fancy lighting system. It includes reflective mirrors on the fixtures and different things, designed by the folks at a company called Musco out of Iowa. Let me tell you, the first time we came here in 1992 for a race at night on this big track, it was spectacular. I don't think any of us thought, drivers, fans, broadcasters, that it would look this great.
And it was so spectacular over the years. That's why they've decided to take a chance and run this October race at night, because it is so spectacular.
Bobby Labonte moving up nicely, Bill.
And loving every minute of it. He told his crew chief, Michael McSwain, that the car is just a tick tight, but all he wants is minor air pressure adjustments. This is a brand new car, never been on the track till they got here Thursday. It has been in the wind tunnel. It replaces the car that they lost at Chicago when he crashed and caught on fire. That's the car that won for him earlier this year and ran so well here in May. Brand new car, debuting in style, Alan.
Yeah.
And that car looks like it's working. It moved to the middle and made the pass. So that car is working low end in the middle, not quite high yet.
So Labonte, two-time former winner at this track, started 12th, just took 4th from Ryan Newman. And now Jeff Gordon, after falling back, has slowed his rate of descent, if you will, and Newman is starting to slip back into his clutches. Remember, Newman drove away from Gordon in the opening laps.
And Jeff has now decided to move up the racetrack and see if he can find some grip on the high side.
Gets down on the bottom, see if he can loosen up the 12 car a little bit. Drove right up on the bumper. Looks like he's going to take the spot.
You know, we're throwing around the term tight a lot, and it's one we're going to hear a ton tonight. How about our Home Depot virtual garage?
All right. Wally, why don't you explain to these folks what we're talking about when we keep saying tight?
Okay. Well, as you get down the corner, obviously you arc the car in and you want to get to the bottom of the racetrack. You watch the front tires. When it's green, that means it's turning. But when the car starts sliding up the racetrack, it really heats those tires up. And what happens is when you turn down the corner, it just wants to drift up the racetrack. And that's what we call tight or push. The car just doesn't want to turn.
But you can control that problem with the accelerator, so that's a much better problem when the front tires are red than the rear tires are red.
Right. In order to, the way you stop the car from really taking off up the racetrack or sliding up the track is you got to back off the throttle a little bit, or you have to wait before you get back in the throttle. But you're right, BP. When it's loose,
oh,
hang on.
Jimmy Spencer right now is saying, why I oughta.
Yeah.
Three Stooges paint job on Jimmy Spencer's car.
Oh, I see.
Celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Stooges. So he's about to be lapped by the leader, and he's saying, why?
And he does not want to go that lap down. I don't think there's much he can do about it, but he's been fighting this 48 car awfully hard. And finally, Johnson gets by.
Spencer a lap down. Brian Vickers, Joe Nemechek, and Christian Fittipaldi also overtaken by leader Jimmy Johnson. 39 laps in here at Charlotte.
clear. Behind him, these yellow ones is fast as the leader right now.
Early this morning, enjoying their tailgating, and now they're watching Matt Kenseth make a statement. His championship hopes a little bit stumbled the last couple of weeks after troubles at Talladega and Kenseth, but he is roaring through this field toward the front of the pack in that 17.
That's the 8th position. Elliott Sadler, Kenseth goes by.
And Matt runs this racetrack just as good, if not better, than anyone.
As a matter of fact, Kenseth got his first NASCAR Winston Cup victory right here in the 600-mile race.
Finished second here 2 of the last 3 races. Hey, the last driver to win this fall NASCAR Winston Cup race from pole position, our Walmart race fact, 1982. Handsome Harry.
There again, huh?
A long time since the guy that started on pole won this race. Not good news for Ryan Newman. Jimmy Johnson is out in front right now, trying to complete the season sweep here at his sponsor's named racetrack. How about we go through the field? Matt, you're first.
And Alan, he continues to pick up that dominance where he left off back in May, which was $1 million plus month of May. No teams look forward to coming to Lowe's more than the 48 team. They've been jacked up for weeks, and that excitement continued tonight even before the race started.
Everybody give me a big thumbs up here. When everybody raise their hand and tell me whose house this is. Tell me now, boys, this is our house. Let's do this thing tonight. Come on. Get in there, guys. Be on our game, do our deal. Business as usual.
The car was free on throttle, but now it's gotten tighter. Chad Canal says it's going according to game plan. We will adjust accordingly. Meanwhile, Bill Elliott currently chasing the 48. He says his car is great, but remember back earlier we told you that Tim Fiedewald told him, if that high line comes in, I'll tell you. Well, he just told Bill the high line's starting to come in. Move up if you need to, Bill.
Matt, strong run for Tony Stewart in the 20 car, just a little tight in the center, and off the turns, he's a little free off. So it's tight in the center, free off, but a strong run for him moving toward the front. As for the 18 car, Bobby Labonte, his crew chief Michael McSwain did a rain dance here on Friday, so practice would be limited. The car has great balance. He's having a solid early run here tonight in this 500-mile race. As for the 24 car, Jeff Gordon's still saying just a little bit loose. Remember, it was really, really loose, but it is just a little loose now. Seems to get better. Marty?
Bill, don't look now, but 2-time Charlotte winner Rusty Wallace is the fastest car on the racetrack. Up in 6th position, a little bit tight off the corners. Rusty happy with the chassis, though. Said it's getting a little bit better the longer they run, Dave.
And Ryan Newman is not sure why his car went from very tight to very loose into the corner, but he began adjusting the brake bias in his car. He could put more of the braking toward his front tires with a dial inside the cockpit. He's been doing that, and the car has gotten better. Marty?
29th to 8th for our championship leader, Matt Kenseth, and he's tracking down Ryan Newman right now. May make the pass on this lap right here. Just a little bit free at the beginning of the run. The car excellent right now. Talking about possibly a track bar adjustment on their next stop. Behind him, Elliott Sadler had a car that made it up to 5th a little bit earlier, but it has fallen back to the 9th position now. Extremely loose in the middle of the corners, and when he hits those bumps, there's bumps everywhere here at Charlotte. When he hits them, makes the car way loose. Dave?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has already made a tire change. They had a tire equalize on the grid before they started, so NASCAR officials allowed them to change the left front tire. They'll need to come in just a few laps to fix a tight-in, loose-off condition. Alan?
Update on the top 10 to this point, as we're in a long green flag stretch to start this UAW GM Quality 500. There's Jamie McMurray by Dale Jr. for 10th. Caution free so far, 2 leaders. Ryan Newman led the first 17 laps, then Jimmy Johnson took over at lap 18. Now at lap 54, he has been out in front. That means Jimmy Johnson was the official leader at lap 50. You need to know that to enter the Big Apple sweepstakes. You could be a special correspondent at this year's Winston Cup Awards ceremony in New York City. Log on to NBCSports.com for rules and your chance to register every week. Remember, Jimmy Johnson, you need to know that in order to enter the contest. And that is details also available at NASCAR.com.
Well, Benny, we talked about it earlier. They finally got to the top of that racetrack over in 3 and 4.
Got pit stops coming up, so let's take a break. Jimmy Johnson is out in front of Bill Elliott, 1.5 seconds here at Charlotte.
Front and tighten the center a little bit to leave free off. what are we doing, guys? One more. Go ahead and finish this one. Finish this one. Fresh tires in your mirror there.
Now the right front started 14th, has made his way up to 5th.
Bobby Labonte's the race leader. He has not yet come onto pit road. Tony Stewart also led a lap in the exchange of pit stops when Jimmy Johnson came in for his visit. Bill? Elliott Sadler in for his stop. Marty, sorry.
Elliott sliding the nose in the middle of the corner, also a little bit loose off now. Remember, he was tight earlier, so they actually gone to the loose side, down 2 rounds on the track bar, trying to tighten that car up.
Dale Jarrett also in. Kyle Petty is in. Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming down onto pit road. 45 miles an hour, the pit road speed limit tonight. So you spend quite a bit of time getting down to where Junior's pitted toward the turn 1 pit exit. Dave?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. radioed to his crew, real tight in, a little bit loose off. So I believe they're going to drop air pressures on the front tires, also make a chassis adjustment. You see the wrench going through the back window. That will help adjust the car chassis to make it more drivable for Junior. Fuel being filled in the back, first can already in, a second can going in, filling the 22-gallon fuel tank, and Junior's gone. Bill?
Bobby Labonte on pit road. The car that had been so perfect is now too free when Bobby gets on the gas. So they're going to drop the rear tire pressure and add 1 round of wedge, 4 tires and fuel for Bobby Labonte, looking for another win here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. He heads out.
Steve Park coming on to pit road in the AOL car, so that's going to complete the cycle of pit stops and hand the lead back to Jimmy Johnson. Good work by the Lowe's team. Johnson out in front of Tony Stewart by about 3.3 seconds. You look at the ticker, top of the screen. The cars whose drivers' names are shown in yellow have made their pit stops in this cycle already. And that's going to be basically everybody now. So Johnson out in front. Tony Stewart second. Bill Elliott third. Rusty Wallace up to 4th. And Jeff Gordon goes to 5th. He'll be followed by Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, Ryan Newman, Elliott Sadler. And then we should see Dale Earnhardt Jr. now running in 10th. 2, 18, and 24. Wallace, Labonte, Gordon. That's 4th, 5th, and 6th.
On board with Rusty Wallace as he looks back at Bobby Labonte. Billy Wilburn, the crew chief on the 2 car, told me that they point blank flat said, we're going to win tonight.
That was it.
End of discussion.
He did, huh?
Yep, that's what he said.
And a long dry streak for him.
Yes, it would.
Well, there's about 30, 40 other crew chiefs that have that same confidence, though, don't they?
Well, probably, yeah.
The entrance to pit road from 185 miles an hour down to 45 can be a struggle. Watch top of the screen, Greg Biffle.
Yeah, Biffle was sideways before he got off the racetrack.
He was sideways, yeah, trying to get off the racetrack, down through the grass. Wow.
What's that all about?
He's made some contact with somebody with the left front fender and knocked it in against the tire.
He didn't tick the back of Sterling Marlin's car there when he slid across behind him into the grass, did he?
I don't know.
He may have done that when he was in the grass.
Oh, just caught a little...
Right. Marty, what are they saying about the 16? Did he do that damage in the grass?
Actually, the contact happened earlier in the race with the 40 car, Wally. They have left front fender damage, and when he got hard on the brakes, he said it rubbed really hard. That's what happened, and you saw all the smoke there. So they do have left front fender damage. They've had it for quite a while now, and that's a hard thing to live with, A, because it makes the chassis bad, but obviously when he got hard on the brakes, it made that left front tire rub really hard.
Okay, so that was a shot after he had made the pit stop? I mean, before he made the pit stop.
Correct. That was him coming to pit road.
Got it.
Here's our McDonald's pit summary. How the top leaders fared, in and then out. Elliott and Stewart changing positions.
So Tony Stewart's guys did good.
So Jimmy Johnson out in front, and we're just past 100 miles. The UAW GM Quality 500 at Charlotte.
inside. We're clear. Running in the 23rd spot. After that exchange of green flag hits. Still there, clear.
By Budweiser. The best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. And by Midas. Visit your local Midas mechanic today.
Jimmy Johnson is out in front of the UAW GM Quality 500. Very dominating performance right now. We're just past the 100-mile mark of the event, and look at the gap, first to second.
Dominating, that's an understatement. He is putting them down.
4-second lead over Tony Stewart.
A couple things going on here because we've not had a caution flag yet. And the drivers and teams were starting this race with almost no practice, no race trim practice because of rain here yesterday. The guys struggling with the handling of their cars. Johnson has put a lot of guys a lap down early.
That's the problem when you start a race and you got a guy that's hooked up like the 48 car. If your car is off a little bit, and like you said, Alan, if you don't get a yellow to get in the pits and make that time back up and fix the car, you go a lap down.
When he gets by the 22 car, Ward Burton, half the field will be a lap down or more.
Look at all the names top of the screen. -1 lap already. Just 100 laps in.
You look up in the mirror and see the leader coming and go, oh, man, we got to fix this car.
How did he do that?
We've talked about the impressive run that Matt Kenseth has had, right? From 29th, he was up to 10th in the first 32 laps. Now he's up to 6th. But check out the gap from Matt Kenseth to leader Jimmy Johnson. He is 14.5 seconds behind the leader. That's a half a lap. That's 3/4 of a mile. That's how impressive Jimmy Johnson has been so far. Matt Kenseth's last couple of weeks have been a struggle. He was in contention for the win at Talladega late in the race 2 weeks ago, when the engine let go on his Ford, and he dropped out, resulting in a poor finish.
And there you see the engine letting go at Talladega. He quickly gets the car out of the way to let that huge pack of cars go by. And then last week at Kansas, Michael Waltrip had spun out, and Kenseth trying to dodge, gets in the grass, and no traction there in the inside wall. Took him about 40-50 laps to fix the car, and where did he finish? 36th?
36th, yeah. So his point lead, his championship lead, has gone from 436 to 259 in the last couple of weeks with 6 races to go. Remember, the maximum swing in a Winston Cup race is 151. So he's not going to lose the championship lead tonight, but things have gotten a lot closer. So we want to know, with our Singular Wireless Race Talk poll, which driver do you think has the best chance to catch Matt in the race for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship? Kevin Harvick, Dale Jr., Ryan Newman, or D, nobody? Cast your votes. We'll get your opinions later.
Okay, hand me my phone. I got a call.
Okay. Watch the wheels on this car.
The 17?
Yeah. See how this place has got some bumps. You don't realize it until you see something like that. And there's a lot of bumps right here in 3 and 4. It is so important to have a good handle on race car at this racetrack, and shocks. Shocks are very important on race cars here because that's what helps keep your tires on the racetrack over those bumps.
You talked about that as on board Rusty Wallace down the backstretch. It's really bumpy. You could really see that car moving up and down.
Right now, Kenseth gaining ground on second place as they run right now. Marty?
We talked about them losing 177 points in the last 2 weeks, Alan, and this is a great story about how close the competitors are here in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. On Monday, Matt Kenseth got a call from Tony Stewart. Matt was actually testing in Martinsville in Virginia, and Tony gave him a little bit of advice about what he went through last year in trying to win the championship, the pressure everybody puts on you from the media, from the team, and from the fans. And he said, you know what you can do? Just relax. Do the things you like to do, and if that's taking your wife out to dinner like BP does with his wife, do it twice in a week. Just do the things that'll calm you down. And Matt took that advice to heart immediately. Tuesday after the test at Martinsville, he drove back on his motorcycle by himself in the rain, said it was the most relaxing 2.5 hours he had ever had. And Alan, maybe you can explain that. I'm not a motorcycle guy, but he said it was very relaxing, and it really helped him just kind of center himself and focus on the job at hand. And you talked to the 17 team this week, and they're really changed. Their attitude has changed. They're really saying they can win the championship versus a couple of weeks ago when they weren't thinking about it. Now they feel like they can certainly win this championship.
Marty, they have a saying in the Harley riding world, if you have to ask, you wouldn't understand. But if you do ride, you understand the solitude and the ability to really clear your mind out and think when you're by yourself on that bike with just a helmet on your head. I talked to Robbie Reiser, Matt Kenseth's crew chief, about how he has dealt with this week with his team. When you came back from having your second bad race in a row at Kansas City, did you have a team meeting? Did you have to focus the guys? Did you have to calm them down? He said, if I had a young team, I would have had to have done that. Got a caution. Turn 2, got a spinner.
Turn 2.
Is that Kurt Busch?
Tell that, or is that Todd?
97. Kurt Busch.
He'd been complaining about that car for a number of laps. It said it was just bad tight. They did everything they could on the pit stop. Said it even felt like it had no power steering.
He was running 16th at the time, Bill.
Well, he hasn't made any contact with anything, but my guess is before he gets back, he will be lapped by the leader.
He already is.
But he's a lucky dog, isn't he? No, the 40 is a lucky dog.
Yeah, Sterling Marlin. As Kurt wasn't all that much in front of Jimmy Johnson.
So while he was going round and around,
and before the caution came out, the leader went past him. And the rule on that is,
if you spin, you fall back in wherever you get the car going again.
Right.
If he had stalled it back there and lost 2 laps, he still is going to be 2 laps down.
Well, let's ride along.
Sound like a good idea. We can figure out what happened.
He is in 1 and 2. Well, the car just jumped loose.
Can you say he's shifting gears in the spin? Oh man, how cool is that?
And he kept it off the wall. Good job.
He's shifting gears in the middle of the spin. I've never.
Well, when you're drifting up the racetrack like to see that, when he was drifting back, you hit the gas because you know you're drifting up the racetrack into the wall.
How about the guys who had to run through that wall of smoke, like the leader, Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah. Man.
So he stood on the gas to keep it from going up the racetrack. Good job.
All right, here we go. More pit stops.
Yeah, about 20 laps since most of the leaders were in, so we'll see if anybody goes for 2 tires here for some track position.
No.
A lot of guys stayed out.
Leader Jimmy Johnson, the first to hit. They're going to make a half a round on the track bar. His car had gone to the tight side and started getting even tighter, Marty.
Matt Kenseth wants to undo the adjustment they did last time. Remember when they went down on the track bar? Going to go up the half round, take that out, clean the windshield. Bill?
Tony Stewart's car has been good on the last 20 laps. They take a tear off the windshield. It's 4 tires and fuel to get him back out. Dave?
Ryan Newman's car is still tight. 3 rounds of wedge in the right rear, 1 out of the left rear. That should loosen this car up. 4 tires, 1 can of fuel only for Newman.
So far, BP, you are exactly right. Nobody on the 2 tires.
No.
Uh-oh. Speeding on pit road penalty coming up for Rusty Wallace.
Oops.
He will go to the end of the longest line for the restart. Under caution for the first time at Charlotte tonight in the UAW GM Quality 500.
Monday on an all-new Fear Factor. Hitch a ride on the hellacious helicopter.
About an 8 pounds, 7 pounds to the right.
All right, guys, just leave your little distance. Keep coming. Keep coming. All right, you're 10 away. There's your last line there. Go, 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 go. All the way out there. Get all the way into the grass. Come on.
Speedway Charlotte. The nightcap of a day-night NASCAR doubleheader here, if you will. Earlier today, Greg Biffle won the NASCAR Busch Series race, 300-miler here. Basically dominated the race, ran away from Michael Waltrip at the finish. The championship with 5 races to go. Look at it, 5 drivers, 80 points. Busch Series at Memphis, Tennessee next Saturday. Craftsman Truck Series ran this afternoon at Fort Worth, Texas. Brendan Gaughan with his 4th straight win at Texas Motor Speedway. The championship still tight because Travis Kvapil finished second to him in the race. And just 3 races to go. Excuse me, a couple races to go now for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in their 2003 campaign. Going to take a couple of more laps of caution to clean up some debris around the bottom of turns 3 and 4. So we'll take a break. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Truck on the top of it. What? Just letting you know that truck was up there. Donnie, when will they penalize that 2 car?
I guess they're going to do it at the end, but I heard them announce it. I mean, I heard them say it. They said, you know, 2 car too fast exited. So, I mean, that's tail end the longest line's what that is.
Okay. car's going to be coming on your outside. You get to the white line.
Standings for the 200 grand check that they will pass out at the end of the year. Still got some of the jet blowers out on track, so it's going to be another couple of minutes before we go back to green. Let's take advantage, play a break. More green flag racing coming up when NBC returns to Charlotte.
Nice and smooth, nice and smooth. Watch your outside.
At Lowe's Motor Speedway, and we're back racing.
Lots of cars a lap down here, BP, and this is where the guys up front have an advantage. If they can clear these lap cars, they can get out and go, where these other guys got to run on the high side, and it hurts the stopwatch.
All those cars on the right-hand side down next to the white line. A lap down to the leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Johnson leads, Tony Stewart second, Bill Elliott third, Bobby the Body fourth, Matt Kenseth is fifth. Rest of the top 10 are Jeff Gordon, Jamie McMurray, Ryan Newman, Elliott Sadler, and Kevin Harvick. 19 cars on the lead lap. Sterling Marlin and Rusty Wallace topped off their fuel on the one to go. Marlin was the lucky dog pass recipient, so he got back on the lead lap when the caution came out, and Rusty got that pit road speeding penalty I mentioned, so he had to start at the end of the line anyway.
Under NASCAR rules put in about a month ago, if you are a lap down, the first car a lap down and caution flag comes out, you don't race back anymore like you used to, but now NASCAR lets one car get its lap back. And this time, the lucky dog was, as Alan said, Sterling Marlin.
This is
Tight back there, I know.
Jamie McMurray just got by Matt Kenseth. Ryan Newman trying to go with him. Newman in the 12. Kenseth's car not handling very well here in these opening laps after the restart.
Well, I don't know if it's not handling well, he just can't get to the bottom of the racetrack where it looks like there's speed there. Okay, now he finally gets down to the bottom in the 17. Meanwhile, great battle between 12 of Newman, 42 of McMurray.
Jeff, that's 5th place.
Jeff Gordon's like got loose up in 3 and 4, lost a lot of time. A lot of cars got by him.
On board McMurray. Hey, it looks like they made an adjustment or so to Newman's car that's helped it out. Remember, he faded back a pretty good bit. How about 17 car, Marty? He's falling back about 4 spots here.
Well, the funny thing on the last caution, he radioed to his spotter, Mike Calloway, said, I don't like the top. And then he was stuck on the top. And as soon as he got to the bottom, he said, I told you I didn't like the top.
We saw that. We agree with you. Top doesn't work for you, Matt.
Sometimes you just can't help things. Especially when you got, what, 20-something lap cars that you're inside.
Yeah. On the restart, it's hard to get to the bottom sometimes.
Kevin Harvick, Elliott Sadler, 29 and 38 for 7th spot. Harvick, of course, the closest pursuer to Matt Kenseth for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. 2nd in points. Matty.
It's not been a great night for Kevin Harvick. They've been trying to find that sweet spot for this race car. Great on entry, the terrible exit, but then it was not good on entry, and then it was terrible on exit again. They've gone on track bar. They put tape on the front. They've tried making some significant adjustments on that 29 car to dial it in, and he's not there yet.
What he said in a word,
yeah, ugly.
So Kevin Harvick struggling along, although hanging in there nicely in 8th place. Elliott Sadler, 38 car. Working on Jamie McMurray in the 42. He's waiting to find Jeff Gordon. Bill, he's back in 10th place.
And they weren't very happy with their car in limited practice, so they went back to notes from the last 2 races, and it's just not paying off right now. Jeff says the car starts out okay, but just for a few laps, then gets real loose. So that's the problem they're trying to get their arms around right now. The 24 Chevrolet just too loose under green.
Jeff Gordon has been so strong at this racetrack over the years. 4-time winner here, including his first NASCAR Winston Cup win. He led 16 of the first 17 races he ran here in his Winston Cup career, but not the last 4. So we watch Robbie Gordon in the singular car, the 31 machine.
And he's been battling with Jimmy Spencer right there up on his right side, 7 car, the last couple laps. Ooh, 3 wide. Works here only for a little while.
Mark Martin in the middle of that group, Bill.
Yeah, here's one for you, Wally. Mark says the car is really good. It's just not fast enough. So that's the problem he's working with, trying to figure out how to make it faster. They're running 2 races in 1 here. Mark's approach is run the first 400 miles, then race for the win in the last 100. Burns.
Well, the A-car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. a couple of weeks ago at Dover, he had a hard wreck and caused himself, he had a concussion when it was all over, and he realized he needed to change some things in the cockpit of his race car. So they went to some better seating material. Here's what he had to say to the crew just a couple minutes ago.
The headrest and the seat and everything in this car is exactly how I want them all done. I guess it'd be a good template to use. Just the only problem is on a bumpy track like this, the headrest is so solid that you know, it blurs your vision a little bit, so you gotta keep your head off of it.
The crew told me a week ago was the first time they used a brand new system altogether. This week they tweaked it, and obviously Junior's happy with it.
There he is, getting up on the 6 car. Hey, Weber.
Yes?
When a car's really good and it's not fast, what do you think that is?
Something under the hood?
You need some horsepower, baby. Drivers always want more horsepower.
Yeah, I see. I was setting you up, and then Dave decided he wanted to talk, wreck the whole plan.
You got your point. Junior back in 13th place, trying to take 12th away from Mark Martin. Earlier asked you our singular wireless race talk poll, who you thought might have the best chance to catch Matt Kenseth in the race for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. That's pretty even split all the way across the board.
I see most people voted with their heart.
For Junior?
And pulled for Junior, yes.
But that, I mean, that's almost as evenly divided as some of the California polling numbers were.
See, now that's what most people want.
Yeah,
but like you said, you're right. They used their heart, not their head on that one.
I vote, by the way, D.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, your vote doesn't count.
I didn't dial in. I was working at the time. Kevin Harvick and Elliott Sadler racing for 7th and 8th place. Treat here for Sadler, see if he can pick up a spot in his Halloween sack.
You know, it looks like that 38 car of Elliott Sadler's working a little bit better than it did at the beginning of the race. He's passed a lot of cars. He's working the bottom of the racetrack, so whatever adjustments they made on that car, he seems to like.
Elliott has had a couple of really rotten weeks earlier in this month. He was involved in that scary flipping crash at Talladega. Then last week at Kansas, had a tire go down and piled into the turn 1 wall. He's tired of hitting things.
Yeah, if there's a car here that needs to run 500 miles, it is Elliott Sadler in 38. Because he's tired of hitting stuff.
Matt Kenseth joining in this three-way race for position. What was that?
I don't know. Like a cup or something.
Yeah. Something on his grandstands. Sadler by, here comes Kenseth.
After he gets a few laps on that 17 car, looks like it becomes a little bit better.
Harvick's not giving in too easy.
Wow.
And Kevin Harvick, Kevin's kind of a mischievous guy. He has shown me that he wants to try and mess around with Matt Kenseth. He wants to maybe play some mind games. We've never seen drivers do that before in the race for the championship, have we?
Well, trust me, you're going to race the guy that you're trying to race for the championship a little bit harder than everybody else. So even if you're struggling a little bit, you know, I think the 38 worked Kevin pretty hard, but Kevin cut him a little slack. I didn't see any slack being cut from Matt Kenseth.
2:59 the gap coming into the race, 2:55 as they run, though it's plenty early in this one. Just past 150 miles of 500 tonight. Talk about Elliott Sadler having a lousy couple of weeks. Check this out. This is 2 Sundays ago. Talladega, Alabama. Watch his car. Ouch. And it's not over yet.
Oh, that's just the first.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Ouch. Ouch. Ouch.
5 flips by the time it was done. And already Sadler unbuckling the steering wheel and beginning to extract himself from the car. Then last Sunday, that's a 160-mile-an-hour crash you're looking at.
That was probably a harder hit than the Talladega one.
I'm sure that hurt a lot worse than Talladega.
But Marty, he's up there in 7th and having a good drive.
And running well, as you mentioned, now, and the car actually gets looser the longer they run. That's kind of the opposite of what you normally would see here. They made a wedge adjustment this last time, and he said nothing on the radio. I think, Wally, what does that mean? You drivers are happy when you say nothing on the radio? Is that what it is?
Absolutely. If the radio's quiet, that means the driver's happy.
But I suspect Jimmy Johnson's radio is pretty quiet right now because he's been out in front for 88 of the 112 laps that have been run in the UAW GM Quality 500.
That corner inside.
by. 3150.
Harvick not cutting Matt any slack.
Watch this. These guys go down the corner, and when you get the cars really, really close in the corner like that, the bottom car gets loose because he doesn't have that air on the rear spoiler. And I'll tell you what, I take my hat off for Matt for a great save, but also take my hat off to Harvick, because Harvick is not cutting him any slack. This is a guy he's trying to go after for the championship, and he's racing him hard.
That was a Yahoo.
It really was.
There. Close call. Kenseth held on to it, fell back from Harvick a little bit. He's in 9th place. Matt, what do you got?
Well, Alan, Kevin Harvick knows this is his championship to win. He has to put pressure on the 17. He came on his radio after that incident with Matt Kenseth and told his spotter, Danny Cullen, next time, give me more warning when the 17 gets close. I will work him harder for the position, Marty.
Well, Matt Kenseth was not too happy with his buddy Kevin Harvick. He said a choice word about him. But anyway, he felt like he did not give him enough room. Now, Wally, your point's taken, but he felt like that when Matt got loose, Kevin didn't move at all. And I don't know, should Kevin move there and give Matt room? Because Matt felt like he cut him no slack.
Well, the only thing that would backfire on Kevin is if as Matt was saving that race car, he could have slid up into Kevin and wrecked him or both of them. So, you know, yes and no. I don't think Harvick owes him any room.
But to save his own race car, the wise thing to do would be move up the hill a little bit.
Right. So it almost cost Harvick.
Well, for now, Kenseth has fallen back a little bit from Harvick by about a second and a half off of him, though still in 9th place.
And I would think if 17 gets back up there, he may.
It could be interesting.
Yeah, it could get interesting again.
How about our lows, improvers, and snoozers? Matt Kenseth topping the charts, picked up 20 spots in the opening 150 miles of this race. Michael Waltrip, nice move forward.
And Sterling Marlin, our lucky dog.
But the snoozers, guys that have been kind of struggling here. Kevin LePage lost 29 spots so far. Brian Vickers in his NASCAR Winston Cup debut, also on the struggling side of things.
Before he just stayed out there. I should have known and just blown it down, I guess. Yeah, just hang in there. You're doing fine. We saw it. It's no big deal. Just stay with it here.
Matt Kenseth talking to his crew chief, Robbie Reiser, just a minute ago.
Robbie says, no big deal. That's what he was talking about then. Here's what he said a few minutes ago.
We won't have these freaking problems. It's going to take a while, Robbie. When they got new tires, there's nothing else I can do.
So thoughts of Matt Kenseth to his race team just a minute ago. Benny, you've been in a race for a NASCAR Winston Cup championship. You're the 73 champion. Those final races down the stretch, we're down to 6 to go. What was the pressure like for you?
It was pretty tough. It really was pretty tough. And each race, as he gets closer to the end, I think the pressure builds and gets a little bit more each and every race as you wind down the season. For that last race, it's brutal. Yeah. It really is brutal. I mean, he wants to have this thing locked up when these cars go to Homestead.
He doesn't want to go into that last 400 miler.
No, having to run 25th to win a championship or something.
Yeah. So Kenseth trying to reel Kevin Harvick back in and see if he can catch him and race him again for that 8th spot.
And you know, he's running good. Kenseth right now is running as fast as the leader, although he's 15 seconds behind him.
Now, Jimmy Johnson's on a mission here tonight, too. Talked about Kenseth being on a mission. Well, Jimmy Johnson is out in front. You heard his team talk about this is our house. Their sponsors named Racetrack. The Lowe's car trying to dominate tonight.
Judy has a difficult job called 3 Kids. She uses her Discover card to buy things like gas, household supplies, and pudding. Because Discover card pays her a cashback bonus award, so far she's earned $103. It's money she used to buy herself a little time off. Discover card. Why not get paid for the things you buy anyway? The Discover card is welcomed at
Wow. Wow. I don't know if he made contact or just got behind him and took the air off that rear spoiler.
Yes, we talk about this all the time. Getting somebody loose, this is how you do it right here. You run up, run your nose right up to that rear bumper, packs air underneath the back of the car, as well as takes the air off the spoiler of the deck lid of the car in front of you.
Matt Kenseth and Kevin Harvick back together again.
Well, Matt got by him, but Kenseth, Harvick's working him.
Yeah. Now Matt gets away. Tension escalates in our race for the championship.
Yeah, well, we knew that was coming.
Hardy.
Well, they may not have all the bad problems behind them after all for the 17 bunch. Matt just radioed the crew, said it feels like the power steering is starting to go away, getting harder to turn the car. Definitely a power steering problem starting to develop in the 17 car.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. 300 miles, no power steering.
Here comes Harvick back at him.
And Harvick's in a position of advantage here, because he's got nothing to lose, and Matt, or he's got more to lose than Matt does. Matt, I got that backwards.
I know what you're trying to say.
Matt has more to lose than Kevin
Harvick does. Right, exactly. And what Kevin's trying to do is rattle him. And why not? I mean, you know, the only shot you have is to rattle the guy that you're racing for the championship. So mess with his head as much as you can.
Does that remind you of anybody else that used to drive a black and silver, sometimes GM Goodwrench sponsored
It was number
machine?
3. If you've been here with us all night, you saw that car at the very top of the show, and Childers took the lap around the racetrack, but Earnhardt was the world's greatest at that.
Messing with people's heads, the people he was racing for a championship with.
They gave him the nickname the Intimidator, and that just wasn't thrown on him. He earned it.
We're about 3/4 of the way through a run before the next set of pit stops. So why don't we take a break here, come back and get set for some more action on pit lane. Tony Stewart now out in front.
Keep doing that. That's a good lap. Flat. Tied up off also.
On their game tonight.
Benny, I talked with his crew chief Greg Zipadelli about what's going on with their season, about whether it's tougher to defend a title and so on. He said really getting out of the box from the title celebration had nothing to do with it. He really felt like a lot of their summer struggles were tied in a small way to Tony's contract issues. Remember the ongoing soap opera of was Tony staying with the Joe Gibbs team after 2004, was he not? He said, I really think it became more of a distraction than any of us were willing to believe it was. And once we got that out of the way, look at our performance. Third, fourth, last 3 weeks.
Anytime that you have any type of distraction, certainly it hurts the performance of the race car.
And especially when it has to do with your future for the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Stewart out in front with Johnson, Elliott, Labonte, and Newman. Bobby Labonte, that is, your top 5. Got 17 cars on the lead lap as you see the scoring ticker go by top of the screen.
Left front tire on the white line, BP, at 3 and 4. That's where you want to be here at Lowe Speedway.
It's time, BP.
Cue the duck.
Waddle on in here. Time for the Aflac NASCAR Winston Cup Trivia Quiz. Who won the event that ended Richard Petty's 10-race winning streak, 1967?
Well, that was a little bit before my time. Let's see. Fred Lorenzen.
No.
That's not it.
It happened at this racetrack, by the way. And it was this particular driver's first NASCAR Winston Cup win.
Oh, really? Buddy Baker, how about that?
Yes, sir. 1967, what was then called the Charlotte National 500. October 15th of that year. Richard Petty had been on a tear. Buddy Baker finally breaking into the winner's column for the first time in his then 9-year career. It was at his home track. Buddy, a Charlotte native. Richard finished 18th after a crash that day. He started that streak in mid-August.
He won 27 races, I think, in 1967.
Yeah. That's
out of about 55 or so.
That's why they call him the king.
Johnny Benson on pit lane.
Round of green flag pit stops beginning. Here's Kenseth racing Dale Jarrett for a spot. Check that. Jarrett's a lap down. My bad. Kenseth up to 8th place, Marty.
Wally, you ever lose your power steering in a race car?
Yes.
Well, imagine if it was intermittent. It came and went, and you didn't know when it was going to come or when it was going to leave you. Here's what Matt Kenseth had to say on the radio about his power steering.
I just can't feel the tires as good already. We'll have to stop and work on it then. 32, 31, leader at 31.84. Not going to stop and work on it, I'm just saying, or just pitching away a good finish, so I'm saying. I'll be able to drive it all day.
That's even worse when it comes in like that.
He's able to live with it, Wally, but he just never, he said it feels like it's losing fluid. If they get a yellow, they can work on it, but obviously they cannot do it under green.
Yeah, it's like there's air in the system or there's air bubbles in the line, and when you turn the wheel, you have pressure on the wheel, and then all of a sudden the wheel gets light. And boy, that is a handful on a race car when you're running 180 miles per hour.
I never lost power steering in the race car, but I drove a lot of races without power steering. But the front end setting is so totally different with and without it that once you have it and lose it, it becomes almost impossible to drive something similar to your car on the street when power steering goes off.
Very difficult to turn these cars without the power steering, or when the power steering goes bad.
Now, Ryan Newman did it at Dover in the June race last week in May. Actually, I think the race date was June 1st this year. He finished the race with no power steering, and he won.
Right. And if you lose it completely, at least you have feel in the steering wheel. But I think what Matt's going through is it comes and goes, and that's really difficult to drive on a racetrack when it comes and goes like that.
Beginning to see some green flag pit stops for some lead lap cars. Johnny Benson has been on and off pit road. Jeff Green has been in, Dave Blaney, Brian Vickers. Now Jeff Gordon is on pit road. Gordon giving up 10th spot for his stop here at lap 152. Bill?
And he brings the DuPont Chevrolet down pit road, pulls into his stall, cool over the wall. The front end is sticking good. He says they just need to do something with the rear from sliding out from underneath him. Gordon on pit road for 4 tires. Will get fuel, and they'll send his Chevy back out on the racetrack. Not the kind of run they were looking for, going off some old notes, trying to make this new car a little bit better. He's on his way. Matt?
And Kevin Harvick is in. Talking about look for a possible wedge adjustment on this stop. You can see them cranking in the back window as they come around to the left side of the car. He never said a word about battling Matt Kenseth on the radio. Sport tires going on. Service complete for Harvick. He leaves in a smoke.
Bobby Labonte, who was one of the last to stop on the previous cycle of green flag pit stops, is an early visitor to the pit lane here. Bill Elliott, Jeff Burton also in. Bill?
I think Bobby Labonte trying to get a little bit of an advantage here. They're going to put 4 tires on it and then fuel in it. He said, I know I'm not leading the race, but I want you to know I'm having a good time out here. And Fatback says, well, you're not leading the race yet. They make a chassis adjustment, give him the tires. He'll be leaving in a minute. Marty?
Bill, the biggest problem with the power steering issue for Matt Kenseth said he can't get a good feel for how the race car is reacting on the track. They started this run a little bit loose. He knows that, so they went down 1 round on the track bar trying to tighten it up. A little bit long on the left rear, but not a bad stop for the 17. Dave?
The 12 car of Ryan Newman now making his way down pit road. In front of him, Kevin LePage, who pits just behind him. So he will have to go around the car of LePage. LePage in for another pit stop. Was a bit free through the center. Newman, for his part, was pretty good on this last run. He talked about being a little bit on top of the track. They're going to lower air pressure and make a wedge adjustment to try to help him fix that race car. 4 tires for Newman. He made his way around LePage. LePage now has to go around him. They both get cleanly.
They're going to make a wedge adjustment on Jimmy Johnson's Chevrolet. The car had gone to the tight side just past entry. Bill.
Tony Stewart's car is sporty, he says, sporty. It's just a little tight in the center, maybe. Basically no adjustments. His radio's been intermittent, but they said that's why you're in the car. You're the radio specialist.
So Tony Stewart leaves. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is now the race leader. Only one of the lead lap cars not to have pitted yet, besides Jr., looks to be Sterling Marlin. Jamie McMurray heading back out after service, defending champion of this race.
You see those sparks flying from those wheels when these guys leave. You say, man, I didn't realize those tires were that hard. They're running across some lug nuts. As the tires spin, they're spinning those lug nuts across the surface, and that's what the sparks are coming from.
So McMurray comes back up just behind Dale Jr., who's at race speed and leaves him quickly. Sterling Marlin is in, and now Junior's the only lead lap car not to make his pit stop yet. Kurt Busch in, Bill.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating night for him. He's getting 4 tires, a chassis adjustment. Fuel to go back out. He's not the happiest guy here in Concord tonight.
Probably not. Kurt Busch involved in a spin out back at lap 87, and it took him off the lead lap. Now Dale Jr. is on pit road, and that'll finish the cycle of pit stops. Dave?
Early in the race, Junior's car was loose up off the corner. That condition has corrected itself, so just a slight air pressure adjustment now for Junior to keep up with the track. They will fill it full of fuel and change 4 tires with the Budweiser Chevy back on the track. Junior patiently waiting. He'll put the car back in gear now, get ready to go and leave pit lane.
14-0, not bad.
Very good pit stop.
Ryan Newman in the 12, Jamie McMurray in the 42. That's a race for 6th and 7th. Actually, it's going to be for 5th and 6th now that Junior stopped. Don't count that 12 car out. I don't care how far behind he is. Don't count him out.
His nickname in the garage area is Rocket Man.
If we've learned anything about this team over the last couple of months, it's that they'll find a way to get him track position toward the end of a race, and they're willing to gamble when other people are not. Newman in the 12, winner last weekend at Kansas. Winner of 3 of the last 5 races, 6 of the last 13, 8 so far this season.
The Newman's car seems like, so far tonight, Benny, the car's been fast.
We got trouble. Elliott Sadler.
Is that Jimmy Johnson?
Mike Skinner.
Mike Skinner.
Sadler tried to go under.
You all right, digging in clear behind that 24. All clear, nothing hurt.
Sadler tried to go under Skinner into the corner, and it looked like that air thing when the 2 cars get close in the turn, because the 38 came up and nicked the 01, and off they went. And for the 2nd time tonight, guess who the lucky dog is? Sterling Marlin.
Lucky dog.
And the Army car's got troubles. There's your lucky dog.
Certainly is.
Telling you, that team's won this race 2 years in a row. Sterling 2 years ago, Jamie McMurray last year when Marlin was injured.
Not going to win tonight.
I don't know. They keep getting the break to stay on the lead lap. They may hit that adjustment, BP. You never can tell.
Not going to win tonight.
Benny was also the one that said it was going to, no way we're getting this Busch race in today.
That's right.
Remember that?
Check it out.
It looks like, yeah, it looks like Mike was trying to get down the racetrack and drove into the 38 from that angle. Elliott was about as low as he could get.
He was lucky he didn't get up into the wall there.
Mike had pitted, didn't he? Or was he trying to?
Yeah, no, he pitted already. He had just pitted a couple laps ago at 156. And that was at 160. Pit road's open. Any leader's going to stop? They just came off the set of green flag stops. Survey says negative. So under caution in the UAW GM Quality 500. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Go hard. All right, right there. 4,000 seconds.
What to do, Todd? They were coming, so I just came.
Yeah, 10-4, you did right.
Just said something on the radio, but I figured you saw me.
Yeah, 10-4, we got a good shot at that right here.
All the way down here. Keep coming. You're about 10 away. Right around this 37 right here.
Turn 2. Plenty of time. Off of 2. Plenty of time. Down the back. Turn 3. It will be 1 to go when we get back to go. Middle 3 and 4, plenty of time.
You're good.
Okay, 4,000. It'll be 1 to go when you get back.
On a night race with a full moon.
It's not good.
It's not good. Well, I guess it is if you like action and
strange things.
Yes.
Strange things happen. Now, speaking of strange things, power steering issues aren't often heard of in Winston Cup cars.
But they see him working on the car. See Kenseth working the wheel back and forth, trying to get the fluid to go through the system.
Actually, it's kind of like priming the system, trying to get all the air out.
This was on pit road just a second ago under the yellow flag. So the crew buttons it up and sends Kenseth back out. He came back around and got 4 tires. And Marty Snyder is going to get us the details on what's happened to the 17.
Well, first of all, let's let Robbie Reiser go here real quick. Are you fairly confident you got the power steering fixed, Robbie?
Yeah, all that happened was the cap blew off and the fluid blew out of it. So we put fluid back in and tightened the cap back down. We got a little different deal going on there, and we'll just have to change it and go back to the old way. It just ain't working for us.
All right, there you go. And then what happened was Robbie had the foresight to think the cap might have come off. He sent one of the crewmen back to the truck to get a replacement cap. Turned out to be a good thing. They put the new cap on, filled it full of fluid, everything was great. Matt said the power steering is back.
That's why those guys are leading the championship right now, because of decisions like that.
Yeah, that's
from Robbie
exactly
Reiser.
right. And it's probably not so much that the cap might be off, it's because he felt like when they took it off, they might drop it. And rather than try to find it, they had a new one there.
Right. So Matt Kenseth falls back to 16th for this restart of the 17 cars on the lead lap. Pitting under this caution, cars toward the back end of the lead group, including Jeff Gordon, Elliott Sadler, Todd Bodine, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Johnny Benson, and Kevin Harvick also came in. They restart from 9th on back as we go back to full speed racing. to the old saying, cautions breed cautions.
Oh, do they ever.
Field tightly bunched together, racing door to door, high speed, full moon. A little slip can make a big mess.
Bumpy racetrack.
It doesn't take much here, too. Just a little touch. Well, as we've seen earlier, you don't even need to touch a guy to get him loose. Just take the air off the back.
Tony Stewart out in front, did not pit under the caution. Jimmy Johnson second, Bill Elliott third. Bobby Labonte, Ryan Newman, Jamie McMurray, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Michael Waltrip rounding out the top 8 that did not pit on the yellow. Of course, caution just a couple laps after they all finished green flag pit stops.
And Steve Park just took the AOL Chevy to the garage area.
Derek Hope has been in and out of the garage a couple times. He's currently out, so Park is going to be the first car not on the racetrack at this point. Mike Skinner has also just taken his car to the garage after the crash damage.
Wow, Jimmy got a run there.
The last time on that long green flag run, Johnson pulled away at the start, and then about 35 laps in, Stewart ran him down and caught him.
And Robbie Gordon in the wall off turn 4 hard.
Cautions breed cautions, and the yellow's out again.
Looked like Robbie was trying to go 3 wide off turn 4, and might have got just a bit too high.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be, as the widest guy coming out of 4.
Third caution of the race.
Right rear.
Yeah, you see him way up high. It looks like he may get, I don't know, he got in the marbles or he just got loose there, but he was, let's ride aboard.
Yeah,
give us a ride, Robbie.
Jump the cushion.
Yeah. Got a little bit too high.
What I was going to say is, he's been up there in the Michael Waltrip lane.
Oh, he's been high all night, yeah.
Yeah.
On that right rear caught it, just brought that front end hard.
Take a look at it. Take a look at it first.
These racing tires throw off little bits and pieces of rubber as they race, and they all kind of congregate by the wind created by the cars up along that very outside few inches from the wall. Right. And those are the marbles we refer to.
Look at your track bar mount and all that change.
Anything, little pieces of dirt, gravel, everything winds up along that wall very close.
Yeah, there's nothing in the middle. It's either all on the apron of the racetrack or up next to the outside retaining wall.
It's like sticking the right side tires over on the shoulder of the breakdown lane going down the interstate in the winter. At least where I live, where there's snow, there's a lot of sand there that's not on the driving lanes where the people are driving full speed.
And it's a good term, marbles, because that's exactly what it feels like if you get up there. It feels like you're driving on marbles. They may go up there to pick up a little bit of debris off Robbie's car.
Bits and pieces of metal that Robbie scattered. All right, pit stops. Who's coming in? Second place, Jimmy Johnson. So far, the only lead lap car to come in. And he went by his pit. He just missed his pit, Matty, didn't he?
And that's exactly what happened, Chad. They were pit.
Sorry, we have a technical issue there with Matt's mic.
And Kenseth is bringing his car back in as well. Marty?
They were going to do the opposite of what the leaders did, except the one guy, so he decided to come down pit road. Obviously, fuel only here for Matt. They just can't go on the new tires.
So that's going to be a big mistake for Jimmy Johnson, because he's going to go from second to the end of the lead lap. He'll be back in to get some more service in a minute.
We got a problem up here. Tower 12.
To zero. Rubbers. stop at the 0 pit. Just kidding. Come around the 0 here. Watch him. He's going to be coming out. Watch him. Slow down. Just make sure you get it good and full. Don't worry about pulling the tires. All right, let's go. We're in 17th position. We've got 164 laps to go right now.
Hey, bud, it'll be 1 to go next time by. We should be behind the 17th car, I believe.
M4 behind the 17th. You got a really good race car here, buddy. Let's just be smart, okay? No different than what we did here for the 600. Just pick your way through. Problem.
For his pit stop and get all ready to go. Come on, let's go.
Hey,
where are you going?
We're over here. All Chad can do is laugh. Chad Knaus, his crew chief. It didn't really cost Jimmy a lot. He came back in, got tires. He's going to restart 17th, but with only 3 lead lap cars pitting last time, he would have only restarted about 14th or 15th anyway. So it didn't cost him that much. The real big cost here was that they chose to pit when all the other guys on the lead lap, for the most part, didn't.
And you saw that piece of tape on the grill. They installed that during the pit stop. That might help the car go faster. And Matt, did they make any other changes to the car? Do you know?
Benny, they put a rubber in the right rear, and basically what happened, he was looking at his pit road speed coming down pit road, and whoa, hey, there goes my pit.
Man, oops. And that tape, they're trying to get that nose stuck to the ground. More tape on the grill, more downforce on the nose.
Greg Biffle was the lucky dog award getter at that last caution, so he's come back around the pace car. He's 18th now, and last on the lead lap on this restart. It's Tony Stewart, now Bill Elliott in second, with Jimmy Johnson's pit stop. Bobby Labonte third, Ryan Newman fourth, Jamie McMurray fifth. Jimmy Johnson restarts in 17th. Matt Kenseth also pitted. He's in 16th. He topped off
Bobby Labonte.
Oh, for second
high
place.
Side. All right. Man.
So it's a Coach Gibbs kind of night so far. First and second place cars from Joe Gibbs Racing. Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte.
Made that middle groove work for him tonight.
There's the coach. A couple of NASCAR Winston Cup championships on his resume to go with the Super Bowl rings.
Got to be pretty neat to sit there and watch your 2 cars go by, running 1-2, and a race at the Lowe's Motor Speedway.
5th place here, 5th and 6th. Earnhardt Jr. in the 8, McMurray in the 42, and Michael Waltrip in the 15. All locked up for that spot.
Junior had to squeeze out the throttle off turn 2, which allowed McMurray to get that run on the outside, take the position away.
Look at Michael, loose over the bump right there.
Harvick joining that crowd.
Oh, who's that bouncing off the wall?
Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon pitted on the previous caution when Michael Waltrip didn't, so they're trying to come back through the traffic.
And Mongo.
Spencer?
Yeah, it looks like it was Jimmy Spencer's car.
Whatever it was, it didn't slow him down much because he's still charging along.
That's why drivers want to stop and change tires. Is Kevin Harvick, the 29 car, is able to drive by the 15 and 24 with those fresh tires.
Bush's car is still loose. Yeah. Saw him get very loose up there in 3 and 4.
97 car involved in a spin that brought out the first caution back at lap 87.
We ride with him right here. Let's see if we can maybe ride with him at 3 and 4. That's where it's real exciting. Get down a back stretch.
54 to Todd Bodine direct in front of him. Oh yeah, here we go.
22 is Ward Burton. That is a car not on the lead lap, but all the others around him, those other 5, that's all for a spot. McMurray, 42, 5th place. Earnhardt Jr., 6th. Harvick, 7th. Jeff Gordon, 8th. Michael Waltrip, 9th. And now Todd Bodine joining in the fun in the 54 car. Robbie Gordon has taken his car back to the garage. Marty?
While the action continues out there, Robbie Gordon sitting back here. He said he hit the bump so hard it shot the race car up the track, hit the wall hard with the right rear and the right front. A lot of damage. He said, my fault.
Hey, those bumps are tricky over there.
And the work continues to get that 31 car back in the race. See if they can hang on to their spot in the championship standings. They're 15th right now, and things are so close in there.
Right now he's being shown 40th, but we'll have other cars fall out, so if he can keep his stay in the garage here at a minimum, he'll pick up 2 or 3 spots.
And a lot of money between positions. You might say, what's the difference between finishing 15th and finishing 18th? You're not up front. Well, money is basically the answer.
And provisionals for the Daytona 500 in 2004. To be seen here on NBC.
Yeah, and I'm kind of already excited about that.
Me too.
You should be. You know what it's like to win that race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. kind of hung there mid-pack. He's not really shown a lot of strength tonight. Started 11th, running 5th. Earnhardt Jr. 3rd in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship standings. Had a birthday yesterday. The ripe old age of 29.
All right.
That one occasion, this was a big weekend for him. The other, the fact that Earnhardt Jr. finally signed an official formal contract with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated that will keep him on board this 8 car through at least the 2007 NASCAR Winston Cup season.
And I'm really shocked when he started talking about his contract that all he had was a handshake deal with his father. He never had a contract with the team. But he said, now I'm just like the other guys. I got me a contract because he's not the boss's kid anymore. He's got a contract. He's a driver.
He's an employee.
Employee, there you go. Probably a high-paid employee, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'd say so. Of course, Teresa Earnhardt, Dale's wife, Dale Jr.'s stepmother, runs DEI after Dale's passing.
And doing a nice job of it, I might add.
Must be happy with their performance. Earnhardt Jr. 3rd in the championship. Michael Waltrip in 11th spot, just outside of 10th. Tony Stewart out in front, just past halfway in tonight's UAW GM Qual.
job, buddy. You're back up to 10th place here. Nice and smooth. Good job, buddy. A bunch of these guys up here ahead of you are for position. For me. 210, just over 210, 250, 245 oil. Temp in the temps. You're running 3090s. That's the same as the leader. Great job, Jimmy.
Told him, drive to the front. We know you can do it. He's on his way. Inside the 32. Matt.
One of the fastest cars on the racetrack is Jimmy Johnson. He just passed Jamie McMurray for the 8th position. Hasn't said a whole lot about his race car, which was tight before that last stop when they put the rubber in. Bill?
Defending race champion Jamie McMurray this year in the 42. Last year, of course, driving the 40 for the injured Sterling Marlin. Can't tell you much. Great car, no changes. Jamie McMurray with a strong run, Dave.
Michael Waltrip started this race 30th. His car went loose on the low line, so he went to the high line, and it was good for a while, and then got loose up there. They made a chassis adjustment on lap 155. He says the car is better now. Alan?
Those are the top 10 of 18 cars that are on the lead lap as we close in on lap 200, which will be the 300-mile mark of tonight's race. Tony Stewart with an absolutely commanding 4.5-second lead on second place, Bill Elliott. Todd Bodine having a good run as we keep going through the field.
Boy, that's a great call, Alan. Currently 11th. They've worked on this car throughout the evening. Todd's been on the radio. They really struggled with the green flag, but currently 11th. Having a strong run, as you said. Marty?
Bill Elliott Sadler is in 12th on the lead lap despite his spin on lap 161. Car a little bit loose in, a little bit loose off. They've had a pretty good run today, however. Rusty Wallace behind him on the racetrack trying to battle back from that speeding penalty earlier. Fell back as far as 20th as he goes past the lap car of Kurt Busch. Car a little bit too tight right now for Rusty. Bill?
Right behind him, the 6 of Mark Martin as you ride on board. Remember earlier he said the car was good, just didn't have a lot of power. Right now that car is pushing real bad. That won't help you, Matt.
Sterling Marlin driving the race car that Jamie McMurray won with here last year, and the last time he went to victory lane was in this race car. Currently 15th, though. They have had to work on this race car all night. A track bar adjustment went down to try to tighten it up, Marty.
Greg Biffle already has one win under his belt today. Earlier in the NASCAR Busch Series race car a little bit tight. Came on the radio earlier, said, guys, we have the wrong gear. I'm getting beaten off the corner every lap. Bill?
Johnny Benson in the 10 car trying to get a win for his new crew chief, Jay Guy and company. They had on-track contact with the 2 car in one of those earlier cautions. They got 4 tires, pulled the fenders out. Benson's having a good night here. Marty?
Well, Matt Kenseth is getting ready to go around Johnny Benson, Bill, and he's had a little bit of everything tonight. The power steering problem now fixed. That's out of the way. And in this run right here, he's been trying to calm his nerves down from the fracas he had earlier with Kevin Harvick.
29 is trying to wear my nerves, Robbie. He's trying to wreck me without hitting me is what he's trying to do out there. He's cost me so much time. I could have got by him sooner, but he almost spun me out, and then, you know, with the air. And then when I got back in front of him, I couldn't drive away because I didn't have any power steering. Yeah, 10-4. We'll get over that. We're all right now. 10-4. I don't mean to be so crabby, Robbie. This is a really hard place to control with all that bumps down on 3 and 4. It's just frustrating when you're holding the steering wheel.
And we saw that between the 17 and 29.
Absolutely. It's exactly what Kevin was doing, and Matt was smart enough to see what he was doing. So
when you're in the race car now, here's Matt turning around and saying, okay, I don't mean to be whiny and so on. A driver needs somebody to vent to.
Exactly.
I mean, you're in that car by yourself in that helmet, and that guy on the other end of the radio is the only connection you've got.
You're exactly right. It's not whining, it's venting. That's what you're doing. You're frustrated, you're mad. You need to tell somebody about it that'll listen. And, you know, a good crew chief like Robbie Reiser understands that. He's not going to come back and get on Matt about it. He's going to go, hey, man, you know, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. Keep driving that car race hard. Keep driving that race car hard. We'll be fine.
We'll get over that.
We're on the top 5 in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship standings on track at the moment. 17th for Kenseth, 7th for Harvick, 5th, 3rd, 6th, you see. Jimmy Johnson by far the dominant driver in the night until Tony Stewart got out in front. Now Stewart has laid claim to that role. Stewart's advantage over Bill Elliott, though, is dwindling. Elliott has chopped about a second off the gap up to race leader Stewart. 200 laps, 300 miles complete in the UAW.
Clear.
Caution is out.
We're back with the cautions out. Elliott Sadler, Todd Bodine involved in a tangle off turn 4.
You know what we were talking about earlier, BP, when you get somebody loose, sometimes it can backfire on you?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what happened to Elliott Sadler in his 38 car.
For the 3rd race in a row, Elliott Sadler has serious damage to the M&M's car, and we can see as the winning net goes down, he is angry.
Sadler and Bodine racing on the lead lap together. And it didn't work out. That is a scene that Elliott's getting tired of repeating.
Yeah, no kidding. You're gonna get...
The tough part is in every one of these races the last 3 weeks, they've been in the lead lap group when they've had their problems.
And watch what happened here. You see Elliott Sadler gets up on the 54 car and gets him loose, just like Earnhardt did earlier in the race. Problem is, he just didn't quite clear.
As he comes down, it just catches him barely in the right rear, turning that 38 in the wall. Farmer helicopter.
See, there's that big push of air right there. Oh, he just...
Oh, and he's going to catch that wall head on.
Oh, and how did Mark miss him?
Ouch.
Let's go on board with the mark and just see. Oh, man.
Oh, what a great piece of driving. Matt.
It's wheels straight and his foot on the brake for Bill Elliott. No adjustments to the 9 car. He was very happy, about a 10th faster than Tony Stewart on that last run. Dave.
For Ryan Newman, no issues on entry. He said, but they're very tight off. They're going to make a wedge adjustment on Ryan's car. The wrench is in there now. Bill?
Tony Stewart loves this car, says it's extremely stable. Don't touch the front tires, just a very, very slight chassis adjustment.
Looks like he's going to lose the race off pit road. 9 car, the man. Here comes Tony, and look at, was that Junior just drove across in front of all those cars? Yes.
Bill Elliott's team gets him out first.
Jimmy Johnson is next, so he's got back a lot of those positions, and Gordon barely beats Mikey.
Harvick and McMurray. So under caution for the 4th time.
Hitting you there, buddy. I probably shouldn't have, but it looks like it's all going to work out okay, right? Don't sweat, man. We're in good shape.
There's your line right here to the left. Keep it going. All right, clear out there to the grass now. You're clear now. Blower up here against the wall off of turn 4, Michael.
Hey man, get you another good restart. The last restarts have been awesome, and you did good on pit road, but still looking for 264. That's our window.
Michael, 264 is our next window for pit stop. 264.
You are watching the UAW GM Quality 500 from Lowe's Motor Speedway.
First, he, Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, the top 3 spots, top 10s for Waltrip and Harvick. And now the not so good.
5 more on Kurt Busch. We saw that terrific job he did in the spin over turn 2, and Those other guys are struggling tonight.
Yep.
Some days diamonds and some days are stones.
So BP, looking at this big old racetrack and all of the 160,000 people here, how many truckloads of paper products do you think goes into putting on a party for 160,000 people?
How many truckloads of paper products? Oh, I don't know.
What kind of truck? Now think about what kind of paper products you're going to need for 160,000 people.
I understand. I know what you're talking about, but it's hard to imagine needing much more over than a half a truckload.
How about 3?
3 truckloads?
3 tractor trailers full of paper products to handle the crowd. Gotta have it.
Yeah.
If he was looking out the front, he'd have really thought that.
He was smiling before the wreck.
Yeah. We're just past 300 miles. Cleanup continues under caution here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte. How about Jeff Green's pit crew at work?
NBC Mondays are hotter than ever with a runaway hit, Las Vegas.
Good evening, ladies.
Here you can do anything, but they'll be watching. And this week, a scheming hypnotist found dead on stage.
That 19 just in 3, middle of 3 and 4 here. You're outside. There he is, about 5 back. Here he comes.
Okay, bud, just work them in a little bit for me here, and you'll be good to go. That puts you P8 after this time. Water temps still doing okay, pal? Coming to 1 to go, Michael. You'll go green at 2:13. 2:13. 1 to go this time. .29, 42, and 2 will be the first 3 behind you here on this restart.
just been removed from the track. The driver is with Marty Snyder.
Elliott, we got to quit meeting like this. What happened?
I think your videotape shows it. I was just right behind the 54, and it looks like he got loose, and I tried to drive under him, but he just clipped me a little bit. And it's my own fault. As some people, you really can't race real close this early in the race, and just it's my own fault. But I want to apologize to everybody, M&M's and Robert Yates Racing. We've been building me safe race cars and fast race cars. That car was very fast tonight. The Morris family was here to watch us run, and just for meant to be. I'm kind of looking for this black cloud to get off our shoulders, and so we can make it to the end of the race. So we'll try to get him in Martinsville.
See you in Martinsville.
Thanks a lot.
Elliott Sadler out for a third straight week. Check this out again.
And we stopped it just a moment ago. Watch. Elliott's going to come back in front. Watch this. Ay.
That was close.
You think he closed his eyes?
That was close.
I'd almost bet he closed his eyes, Martin, as he tried to drive through.
I bet you his eyes were really, really big.
Or shut. Yeah, one or the other, yeah.
And through all that, Todd Bodine grabbed a gear, kept on going, stayed on the lead lap. He's made a few pit stops, and he's still on the lead lap in 18th place.
Well, he was having a great run tonight, and hopefully they got the damage fixed as best they could. It definitely did some damage to the front valence and maybe even the bottom of the fenders.
Had some guys top off the fuel on the one to go lap. Lead lap, the only one was Todd Bodine. Everybody else was a lap or more down.
Jeremy Mayfield was the lucky dog on that.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson popped out there trying to get her on the outside of Earnhardt, but couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, let's update that, BP. Mayfield did just top off the fuel, and he is now back on the lead lap because he was the lucky dog at the caution.
Tony Stewart, did you see that run that he got on Elliott up in the first and second corner?
He is pushing him down the back stretch.
Trying to clear the lap car of Jeff Burton.
Yeah. Ooh, Elliott a little bit loose here on the bump.
99 car is the first one 2 laps down.
Here comes a rocket man, Ryan Newman.
Stewart's got to clear that car and get back to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll make a run at Elliott.
Junior trying to get by the rocket man. Now, 32 car he's trying to get by.
And Jimmy Johnson coming back into the picture. Remember, Johnson pitted at lap 169 when most of the other lead lap cars didn't. He gave up second, fell back to 17th at the time. Now Junior on Ryan Newman for a spot.
They got Jeff Burton right in front of him.
That's 4th place they're racing for in the 8 and the 12.
The Junior did not drive down in the corner on the inside of that 12 and lose that cushion of air. He knew that would be trouble.
Not that, but when they came up on the 99 car, he was going to be in the wrong lane.
They'll try and deal with Jeff Burton and set off after those front 3. Boy, Jeff Burton's car just looked like it didn't want to turn when he went off into there.
Yeah, like I said earlier, when those guys were pretty close together when they got in the corner. And you got to have a little bit of a gap in between the cars when you run like that, or you get loose.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., when you listen to his radio channel during a race, he offers up some very, very honest assessments of where things are at sometimes. Listen.
Couldn't hurt to give me keep digging if I'm ever running there by myself with nothing to do, because I start to wander off a little bit. I don't know what it is about this place, but this place is the hardest track to stay concentrated on, because you get by yourself, you know, and you're wondering like who's up in the condo and what the hell's going on in the pit, you know, kind of get bored, I guess.
Oh,
who's up in the condo?
Yeah, that's so good. Dave,
who's in the condo?
Actually, Teresa Earnhardt, and she radioed back down. We see you up here, bud.
And I'll tell you what, picture yourself driving in bumper-to-bumper rush hour traffic at 70 miles an hour. Now think about the concentration that's required to run here at 185.
Like you said, when you get strung out here, you know, when you're racing somebody, you're gauging yourself and how far you drive into the corner off the guys you're racing. But when it gets spread out, you get into a rhythm. And sometimes that's not where you want to be. And you need the guys on the radio to say, hey, listen, you know, you're your times are falling off, or you need to move up on the racetrack, or you need some help sometimes.
I mean, sometimes that rhythm is just simply 0.3 of a second too slow, and they got to tell you that, hey, you're 0.3 too slow. You got to do something to run faster.
But believe me, when you're in traffic, or when you've got somebody like Jeff Gordon behind you right now, you're not losing your concentration.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson went by Junior to pick up 5th place. Now Jeff Gordon trying to take 6th away from him. Well, that's going on the track. Casey Mears has just taken the 41 car off the track and into the garage area. Steve Park has returned. Derek Cope has returned. Robbie Gordon, Mike Skinner, they've returned after time behind the wall. Now Elliott Sadler and Casey Mears, the 2 drivers who are back in the garage area.
I don't think the 38 car is going to return.
I don't think so either.
Of course, I said that about Brian Vickers' car in the Busch race at Kansas last week. And he did come back on the racetrack.
Well, Junior's had enough of Jeff Gordon.
Yep. And to get, why he did that is because, yeah, you could race a guy for 3 or 4 laps side by side, but then you're gonna lose a lot of time. So if you let the guy by you and get right back in line, you don't lose that much time.
Bill Elliott out in front of this UAW GM Quality 500. 1 week ago at Kansas Speedway, Bill Elliott dominated, led about half the race, wound up finishing 2nd. He was bitterly disappointed at that, Matt.
Earlier this week, Alan Bill Elliott turned 48, the oldest member of the Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers, and the youngest member of the Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers. His 7-year-old son, Chase, began his racing on Friday night at a go-kart event. He finished 2nd. Benny, guess what his car number was?
Number 9.
Well, that was the final outcome, but his first choice was after his racing hero, Tony Stewart, but then his mom reminded him, who pays the tire bills? And he quickly said, I think I will go with Dad's number.
There you
9.
go. Good call. I mean, the child is pretty smart for a 7-year-old, isn't he?
This is 3rd place. Ryan Newman starting to work over Bobby Labonte for that spot. Newman in the 12. Newman led the opening 17 laps of the race after starting on pole, and once Jimmy Johnson passed him at lap 18, has not been back at the lead ever since then.
And right now, looking at our scoring monitor, Jimmy Johnson quicker than, he's running in the 5th spot, and quicker than the top 4 cars.
There's Johnson creeping into the picture to race for that 3rd spot. We're talking about people leading laps tonight. How about we check our Little Debbie lap leaders rundown? Jimmy Johnson led the most so far, but he and Tony Stewart kind of split in time as the evening's dominators, if you will. Here we go, Newman with a peek under Labonte. Not quite. How about that 48 car, Matty?
He's motoring right along, right off of the rear deck of the 12 car. Earlier in the race, he was tight. They've been working that tight out. On that last stop, the car was loose, but they didn't really want to make any adjustments because they knew he would be back a little bit in traffic and probably pick up a little bit of aero-tight conditions. They didn't make any adjustment. Currently running in the 5th position.
I think he's going to get back there and be in the hunt for the win in this thing before the night's over.
So do I.
Tell you, we've had different guys take turns out in front dominating tonight, but what that says to me is when we get down to the final miles of this thing, this could be quite a finish. Between Stewart and Johnson and Newman and Elliott.
Right now, Jimmy Johnson only 2 seconds behind the leader, Bill Elliott.
Elliott out in front, seeking what would be his 44th NASCAR Winston Cup Series win. Will he get it under the lights tonight here at Lowe's Motor Speedway?
Well, folks, everything will be decided today.
on the apron.
Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte, caution is out. Kurt Busch in the second yellow of the night, obviously not happy.
Yeah, he looks like he cut a right front tire down. He got in the wall in 4. He was trying to get into pit lane, BP, but he couldn't get the race car down from the top of the racetrack.
He was just simply going too slow, and all the cars coming up on him so fast that he just couldn't turn in front of them. And you're right, just could not get down to pit road, so he ran a lap around there with the heavily damaged right side, and
the right front tire eventually is going to blow.
Yeah.
If you ride around on a flat tire, it's going to blow up or come apart. I think he's probably going to be happy his night's over for as loose as that car has been all night.
It's been a tough night. Here we go.
Okay, this is, I think, after he's already been in the wall. There's where the right front tire comes apart.
And now Kurt's just trying to get it stopped without hitting anything hard.
Yeah.
Man, look at the sparks as the complete underside of the car is dragging the racetrack.
Able to gather it back. He must have lost his brakes. There was no way.
See the right front almost peeling off that car right there. And he's not up to full speed right here. He's probably 60%.
Good thing.
Fortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Tell you what, those things in real time hit the wall a lot harder than slow motion, don't they?
And on board with Kurt. This is the first contact.
See the car right there, shoot up to the right. Now he rides around all the way around again.
For a lap. Until this happened.
Yeah. He took the wheel off. It was because the wheel was off before he stopped. He was so mad.
Not too good. Now, pit road has been closed because where Kurt's car came to rest was where the cars exit the pit lane after their stops. So they want to keep the cars from coming onto the pit lane until they get all that cleaned up and give them the clear exit back onto the track. By the way, New Englanders, Ricky Craven got the lucky dog pass on this caution.
All right, good for Ricky. By the way, Ricky Craven, I think we said, just signed a new deal with Tide, and Cal Wells has signed for another 3 years with them.
Through 2006. So pit road's still closed, and it'll be another lap before they come back in. These stops are going to come with about 150 miles to go. So we'll come back for the pit stops in just a minute. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Biggest problem I got is going down into one and bouncing up the track. And, you know, I'd rather be bottoming out the clip than the valence.
19-4. And this time, DJ, 4 tires.
Simple. Time 4,000.
Bill Elliott's crew got him off pit road first last time. We'll see about this one, Matt.
The Dodge boys were certainly fast. Jim Pullman, Rodney Rhodes, and the boys going to work. Just like the last stop, no changes for Bill Elliott's Dodge. These guys got him off first last time. Let's see if they can do it again. Bill.
Greg Zipadelli's crew goes to work on Tony Stewart's Chevrolet. Car's really good, just going to make a slight chassis adjustment to put it back where it was so they can catch the 9 car. That's their plan. We'll see if they beat him off of pit road. Dave.
Ryan Newman's car, aero tight, wedge and track bar, but he said, guys, I really need track position. Get me out pit road ahead of these guys. It's not going to happen. He does pick up one spot.
This time it's Big Orange. 14-1, enough to get Tony Stewart back in the lead. And for the second time tonight, Rusty Wallace will pick up a penalty for speeding exiting pit road. He'll start at the end of the longest line on the restart.
Man.
Tony Stewart's gang getting it done for him on pit road. Let's meet the guys who just got him back the race lead.
Greg Zipadelli, crew chief, Berlin, Connecticut.
Scott Gertz, Windshield, New Hampton, Iowa.
Tom Dean, Long Valley, New Jersey, front tire carrier.
Michael Ehrenfeld, Marietta, South Carolina, front tire change.
Chuck White, China Grove, North Carolina, Jackman.
Hi, I'm Jay Berry from Hebron, Connecticut, rear tire carrier.
Todd Foster, Birmingham, Alabama, rear tire changer.
Jeff Patterson, gas man, Escondido, California.
Brian Larson, catch cam man, Mescanava, Michigan.
Those are the guys that get the job done on pit road for Greg Zipadelli, who's their crew chief. They were disappointed they didn't win the race off pit road last time. They talked about it before they came down pit road this time. Let's get out in front of the 9. And they did it, and they celebrate. Tony also told him when he was on the track that he wasn't that concerned about being behind the 9. He said, you notice he's not getting away from me. So that man, Greg Zipadelli, trying to get Tony Stewart his second win of the season. Under caution here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway with Tony Stewart leading the way. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Good job tonight. Doing a real good job. Nothing to be ashamed of. You're doing great. All we got to do is just keep doing our job and not take ourselves out of this deal. Nice smooth stops. That's all we need. 14-second stops, okay?
1 to go this time by. 1 to go. Away. Go. Gosh.
Cars in the lead lap. 18 cars lead lap.
You are watching the UAW GM Quality 500 from Lowe's Motors.
Touching off a wild celebration, his crew just hoping to get through the weekend with their rookie driver. They wound up winning the race. For more on Wrangler 5-star finishes, log on to NASCAR.com. McMurray, of course, signed up to drive for Chip Ganassi Racing full-time and is in the 42 Haviland machine tonight in 7th place. Already run 300 miles earlier today in the NASCAR Busch Series race. Bill, how's he hanging in there?
Seems to be doing okay, Alan, but just past halfway, came on the radio, and he asked the crew, he said, are we to halfway yet? And the crew said, yeah, we're to lap 170, but for you, that's lap 370 after the 200 laps they ran earlier today. But he's hanging in there, doing well, and trying to make it 2 in a row in the fall race here at Lowe's.
McMurray leading the Rookie of the Year standings, Bill. He's had just a terrific run here over the summer months. Finishes of 5 top 10s in his last 7 races. 3rd Bristol, 4th Darlington, 10th New Hampshire, 6th Dover, 8th Kansas City. This team's really come on in the summer, BP.
But the race at Pocono and Indy were the ones that they'll think about, races that he could have won. The Brickyard 400 had a great race car.
The ones that got away.
The ones that got away, yes.
See if Tony Stewart can get away from Bill Elliott now that his pit crew got him back to lead. Stewart, Elliott, Newman, Jeff Gordon, Earnhardt Jr., your top 5. Followed by Bobby Labonte, Jamie McMurray, Jimmy Johnson, Sterling Marlin, and Kevin Harvick. That's how they came off pit road. Here's Labonte on Earnhardt Jr. for 5th.
Well, that groove worked for Bobby Labonte last time.
It really does. Every time on a restart, he gets at least one car over there in 3 and 4, and he gets right in the middle of the racetrack. Doesn't go way high, right in the center. Now you're kind of forced to run high in 1 and 2 because you have the cars that are lapped down or more running on the bottom.
Look at this mix. Woo! 777. Jimmy Spencer, Dave Blaney not on the lead lap. And Earnhardt Jr. wants that spot back that Bobby just took from him.
And you can see those cars, how much they move on those bumps on the backstretch here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. They don't stay off the accelerator long in the corners.
It feels like on a pogo stick going down the backstretch. It actually doesn't really affect you too much when you're driving this place, but because you're going straight when you hit those on the backstretch. It's the 1s and 3 and 4 that you have your hands full with.
When you're turning and
you're turning.
Yep. Going through those bumps.
But it does all add to the physical pounding that you take on the night. The G-forces of being in this 24-degree corner at 160 miles an hour is up on your neck. There you're down the straightaway. Instead of relaxing, you're going up and down, up, you know?
Yeah. This place is definitely, I mean, there's a lot of racetracks that are like Charlotte, but this place has a lot of character. It's been weathered over the years, and there's a lot of, you know, tricky places on this racetrack. This is what makes it so fun to race here.
Built in 1960 was this 1.5-mile track. Basically in the shape you see right now. A lot of improvements and a lot of amenities added over the years, but the racing layout itself is basically what it was back in 1960.
I saw a photograph earlier today. It was taken in 1960, and the racetrack is the same, but there's nothing else here that looks the same.
Yeah.
The grandstands, pit room.
Jimmy Johnson starting to creep back into the picture. Johnson in 8th place, trying to creep up on Jamie McMurray for 7th. Hello. 17 and 2 are the lead lap cars in there. Matt Kenseth, Rusty Wallace.
Also, Jeremy Mayfield in 19 and Biffle in 16.
Mayfield and Biffle, a couple of lucky dogs from earlier in the night.
And Craven, the last recipient of the award, to get him a lap back. And here comes Johnson on the inside of McMurray. Takes a spot.
At 7th place, Matt.
He dropped from 5th back to 8th on that round of pit stop down. A little slow on the rears, but no changes for the 48 car. But Chad Knaus did come on the radio and said, Jimmy, not to add any more drama to the situation, but we're being told there may be rain in the area.
Oh, really? Earnhardt Jr., Bobby Labonte.
Oh! Bobby felt him back there, and all of a sudden he saw him, and he squeezed off the throttle because he thought he was going to be run into by Junior.
Junior was sliding up there, wasn't he?
He was. And backing off that throttle is now put him back light by the 48 car. Bill, did Bobby say anything?
I didn't say anything on the radio that I heard. The only thing that he's talked to his crew about lately is the fact that the car handles good. It just simply won't go. In fact, he said, I'm pushing my guts out trying to get the accelerator to make this car go faster. McSwain told him, don't worry, we'll work with you on it. We're trying to work on the right side tires, get a little more stagger in the right side, and make sure the car doesn't get too tight in the closing laps, which it could have a tendency to do here at Lowe's.
If Bobby Labonte's record here at this racetrack is pretty incredible, Bill, and he has 9 top 5 finishes in the last 12 races here, second and third the last 2. And speaking of second,
wow, that was a power pass.
We saw Bobby Labonte do that, and the Rocket Man has now moved into second spot. Tony Stewart, I don't know, is he going to relish this 12 car back there coming up in that rearview mirror, or has he said, oh no, not that guy?
I think the latter.
Dave, you got something to say on Ryan Newman?
Sigh of relief, Alan, is what it is. When they pitted, a NASCAR official came back and looked at the tape with them to make sure that they had hit all 5 lugs on the left rear, and they asked Ryan to move the car back and forth to see if he could feel anything wrong with the left rear of the car. Up to speed, passing cars. Apparently they did hit all. Joe P at the rear tire changer hit all 5 lugs, and Ryan's on his way to the front.
Ryan Newman trying to pick up what would be an amazing 9th win of the season, if he could pull it off here tonight. It's just been unbelievable, the run that this team has been on.
All right, let's see how he's doing this time. There we see.
Now, Matt,
there's what area?
Whatever they were feeding you down on pit road, there's the weather radar, and there's where we are. And I don't see any green anywhere near it. Would you like to plead your case?
Well, Alan, I didn't buy the information, and they weren't feeding it to me. They were feeding it to Jimmy Johnson. But have you ever heard of the word motivation?
Ah, yeah, there you go.
Get there now.
I understand now.
All right. So Jimmy now pressuring Bobby Labonte for 6th place. So we have reasonably safely, you never say completely never, but we've reasonably safely eliminated rain from the picture of the rest of this race.
Oh, there's a good thing to say.
Yeah.
Jimmy's getting in the corner pretty good right there. Right up on the back of the 18 of Bobby Labonte, but couldn't loosen him up that time.
That's about it for the 6th position.
So he tries to get right up on the back. Pretty even in 1 and 2. It looks like Jimmy Johnson gets it into turn 3 a little bit better than Bobby. We'll watch this time. See right there?
We'll try that power move on the outside like Labonte's been doing.
Not quite. You know, for years, there's a lot of people talk about a sophomore slump, a sophomore jinx in NASCAR Winston Cup racing.
There's a run. I mean, and you know, when you're in Bobby's position, you're looking up in the mirror going, man, this guy is wearing me out. You know, and eventually you just. Oh, look out, Jimmy Johnson.
Glove save and a beauty.
Oh, man.
Nice,
smooth, buddy. Long ways to go.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
Regroup.
Okay. Now Bobby Labonte's looking in the mirror and going,
Or he's looking and saying, oh, where'd he go?
Get him off my tail.
Yeah. Talking about a sophomore slump or a sophomore jinx, a lot of folks kind of believe in that in this sport. Well, Ryan Newman and Jimmy Johnson have blown that theory out of the water this year. Jimmy Johnson with 3 wins in his sophomore season, and Ryan Newman with 8. So you got Newman with 8 wins and Matt Kenseth, the championship leader, with 1. But Ryan's had so many races he fell out of in the spring. He's not in the hunt for the title, but he refuses to what if those races he had troubles in.
Doesn't matter to me whatsoever. You know, NASCAR will make their decision as far as what the point system is going to be. We'll play by those rules. Matt's just done an awesome job to get the big point lead that he had, and it's still you know, a pretty sizable point lead as it is right now.
There you go. I mean, And we got to give credit to Kenseth and that crew because they have done a fantastic job this year. And we got to give some credit to the 12 car. Everyone says, well, they must be cheating. They're just doing a good job.
And they happen to be fast most of the time as well.
5 races that he's failed to finish have basically turned out to be Newman's downfall in the championship this year. And Bill Elliott powering back by him to pick up second spot. By the way, Brian Newman turned the fastest lap that's been turned in his race at lap 241, so just a little while ago. So his car definitely getting better as the night's gone on.
But as they put laps on these tires, it's starting to fade just a little bit, fade more than Bill Elliott's and Tony Stewart's.
Talk about the slow start that Ryan Newman had, but the troubles. I mean, remember, he ended up the Daytona 500 upside down on his head in the opening race of the season. Average finish 21st, 2 wins in the first 15, last 15, 12 top 10s and 6 wins.
As these guys battle for that second spot, Tony Stewart is just driving away from him. He is 3 seconds.
There he is, going into turn 3 right there.
Almost the length of the backstretch in front of those 2 cars.
Okay, Jimmy Johnson's regrouped, and he's going to come after him again.
Well, the 48 obviously is a little bit faster, but it's catching and passing are 2 different things. And a lot of times where you want to pass a car or where you want to run, that car is running. So you have to start creating places to pass. Saw Jimmy Johnson go high 1 lap. He's trying to go low here. Get him loose right there. That may have been the move right there. Yep.
Worked.
Now he's got to get away from him so Bobby doesn't get him back.
I think he'll get away from him. I think Jimmy's car's a little bit better than Bobby's right now.
There he goes.
I think it's better than Junior's car. It may be better than anybody's car right now, except Tony Stewart's.
So Jimmy Johnson up to 6th place, 8.2 seconds behind Tony Stewart. Leaders all pitted at lap 234, so we don't expect to see them again till about 294 to 300.
You know, Junior saw him come and said, man, this guy is flying. I'm not going to even try to hold him up.
That's about the spot he got sideways the last time. This time, no problem.
So Johnson around Junior to pick up 5th. Tony Stewart setting sail, opening up a 4-second gap on Bill Elliott in pursuit of his 2nd win of 2003.
corners there.
Good job. Go get him.
Chevrolet out front here. Tony Stewart says he's just a little free at the beginning of a run. If, depending on when they pit, they will try and adjust for that. That depends on whether it's under green or under yellow. Matt?
Bill Elliott working out in season 7, top 5 finish. Hasn't had this many since 1992. He hasn't said anything on the radio about his race car. The only thing he said, Mike, what times is the 20 car running?
Dave? Matt, Ryan Newman's position in the running order is going to change. He has to come in. He's got a vibration. The crew told him bring it in the next 4 laps because we'll be in our fuel window, and they just told him to bring it in again. So now they're trying to figure out when they're going to actually bring it in. Bill?
Jeff Gordon in the 24, now just a little bit loose. Remember, he'd been tight. Well, it's a little loose getting into the middle of the turns. They'll try and adjust for that, but you have to be careful down the stretch of this race. Matt?
Jimmy Johnson focused on getting back to the point. His lap times between 2 and 3/10 of a second faster than Tony Stewart. Up to 5th, now up to 4th. Dave?
The 8 car of Dale Earnhardt. 12 car of Ryan Newman is coming in now for a pit stop, guys.
Yeah, he came off the track, Dave. You talked about it a lap ago. He
going to make a track bar adjustment as well. 4 tires and fuel. They can go to the end on here from fuel. It's not a huge stretch. We'll take a look at that left rear when it comes off and see if there was any problem with that, if in fact that was the vibration.
So he gives up 3rd spot with 67 to go. He's going to have fresher tires than the guys he's racing now, and he's going to need to make up a lot of time quick and hope this race stays green till everybody else pits.
Because caution flag comes out now, he's going to be at least a lap down.
All right, so we'll double check where Ryan Newman falls in the running order, and Dave will get us to follow up on that problem in a minute. First, let's keep going through the field. Where we leave off? 5th place, Bobby Labonte. Bill?
I'll take that, and on his last pit stop, they did have trouble on the right rear, a little slow on the stop. That put him back in traffic. Then he had that battle trying to hold off the 48 car, falling back a little bit, but hoping to be strong down the stretch here, Dave.
The 8 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been very quiet on this run, even though he's lost a couple of positions. His only complaint last time was the car just bottoms out too bad in turn 1. They said deal with it, and he has. Bill?
Jamie McMurray just enjoying another night at the Lowe's Motor Speedway, having a good race, says the car's just a little too tight. Matt?
Kevin Harvick runs in 8th, 4 spots ahead of point leader Matt Kenseth. The problem for Harvick, his car starts out way too free. They've adjusted on it, but he loses way too much track time in the early portions of the run, Bill.
Mark Martin's car, the 6, continues to be good, just not as fast as he would like. Watch out for these guys on their last stop. They could make up some positions there, Dave.
Michael Walford's car was loose. They made a wedge adjustment. It's good now. Mikey likes it. Matt?
Back in the 11th position, Sterling Marlin trying to break back into the top 10 column, running in the 11th position. So the car is just getting way too loose. We're talking about what adjustments they're going to try to make to tighten that race car up on his next stop, Marty.
Matt, somewhere back there is Matt Kenseth in the 12th position. The car just a little bit too tight, actually really tight. And he said the engine is not working to his liking right now in the 12th position for the championship leader. Rusty Wallace in 13th, reporting a vibration. Considering coming down pit road, same thing happened to his teammate Ryan Newman. They too are within their window. Dave?
Jerry Mayfield's car on the last run was the best it's been all day. They had a track bar, wedge, and air pressure adjustment, and now it's just a little bit tight. He's okay. 32 car of Ricky Craven's having a pretty good run. On one stop, the car was running cold enough that they could put tape on the nose to help loosen it up. That's a condition you don't often find. Bill?
Johnny Benson thrown into the silly season rumor mill this week when the team announced they were talking to other drivers possibly about next year. Meanwhile, Benson says, I don't know anything about that. I got a year left on my contract. They had on-track contact with a 2-car in lap 155. They battled back from that. Dave? Marty?
Bill, I think the word for Greg Biffle is hang on. The car extremely loose for Biffle. Talking about a wedge adjustment, 2 separate air pressure adjustments. He has gotten looser the longer he has run.
Those are the 17 cars on the lead lap. Let's get the follow-up on Ryan Newman, who's now a lap and a half down in 19th place, Dave.
Now they took off the 4 tires. The left rear came in. The guys looked it over. The holes on the wheel looked pretty good, so they don't think it was a wheel. Very slight, if at all. So Ryan's still not sure what the vibration was. It's gone away now.
Well, there you go. That's a good thing. And we see how much better the new tires are as he goes by Harvick's car and just drives away from him.
Right now, Ryan Newman running about 0.3 of a second per lap faster than leader Tony Stewart. Stewart's going to get that ground back when he makes his pit stop and gets fresh tires, though. Just past 400 miles in the UAW GM Quality 500. Tony Stewart is out in front at Lowe's Motor Speedway Charlotte. Our Napa Field summary. Leaders tonight: Stewart for 120 laps, Jimmy Johnson for 104, Bill Elliott for 27, Ryan Newman for 17. Bobby Labonte, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Mike Skinner have also led a few laps. 5 cautions, only cars out of the race: Kurt Busch, Casey Mears, Elliott Sadler. Everybody else still in the running. 58 laps to go. This is Rusty Wallace in the 2, trying to get a spot back from Jeremy Mayfield that he just lost in that 19 car. 19 moving up to 14th. Round lap 290, 294, 298. We're going to see these leaders come in if we stay under the green flag.
And when they do, Ryan Newman will probably take the lead if we stay on the green flag. The problem is with those fresh tires, they'll run him down pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick. Well, I don't know. That team seemed to make maximum advantage of good track position.
Yeah.
So you get him out front in clean air. After 8 wins, I'm certainly not going to count against him.
Oh, no.
How about Jeremy Mayfield? Here's a team that went from struggling to good, really good here in the last month or so. 19 with top 5 finishes, 3 of the last 5 weeks, Dave. And after starting 32nd and kind of struggling in the early going, they're up to 13th.
Yeah, I had a long conversation with crew chief Kenny Francis today about that, and I asked him what the big change was. He said, you know, it wasn't like we were making little changes on the car to make Jeremy happier. They were body aerodynamic changes. And when you do that, you've got to cut a body off, you've got to put one back on, then you've got to take it to the wind tunnel, then you've got to race it and find out if it's any good. And those changes are more lengthy than quick ones, and that's why it took us a while to get our groove.
Well, he's found it.
Yep, it's all about looking for that feel that all the drivers want. It's different between other drivers. I mean, there's some drivers that like a car that's softly sprung. Other drivers like cars that are sprung stiff. I mean, it's just driver preference. And finally, when you hit on it, then you say, build them all like this one.
Jeremy Mayfield made his NASCAR Winston Cup debut here. This race, 1993, October 10th. It happened to be that year.
And Rusty Wallace watched Jeremy Mayfield get by him, and now Ricky Craven coming up in that 32 car to aggravate him. Try to pass him.
Yeah, Ricky's one of those guys that went to the high side real early in turns 3 and 4.
Jimmy Johnson trying to overtake Jeff Gordon for 3rd. Jeff Gordon not led tonight, despite starting in 2nd place, and you saw the hands busy on the steering wheel there when he came off turn 4. Win this season for that 2014.
And this battle is going on a little over 6 seconds behind Tony Stewart. I don't think that Jimmy Johnson, even if he gets by Jeff Gordon without any problem at all, will be able to make up that kind of distance.
Just not quite the opening that Jimmy Johnson needs to get past Jeff Gordon.
And there's one car he does not want to hit and crash. It's the 24, because Jeff is listed as the owner of the 48 car.
And his teammate within the Hendrick Motorsports organization. See, he needs to get by Gordon. Bill Elliott's just in front of them. He needs to make quick work of these guys if he's going to have enough time left. 52 laps to go. Bill Elliott just creased the wall a little bit in that 9 car. Watch him top left.
Yeah, he did.
Just a little bit.
Just gently kissed it off turn 4.
Yeah, it's pretty low on the damage scale.
Doesn't seem to slow him down much.
51 laps to go here at Lowe's Motor Speedway Charlotte. Tony Stewart. All-Star race is whittled down to its two biggest stars. At the start-finish line, Dale Earnhardt slides his Wrangler Chevy through the turf, then slides past Bill Elliott for the win. The pass in the grass becomes one of the most memorable moves of the Intimidator's legendary career. 33 years of NASCAR Winston Cup racing memories. One of the many great moments Dale Earnhardt gave us in his NASCAR Winston Cup career.
You know, I hope this thing really stays green, because I want to see what's going to happen between this 20 car and the 12 of Ryan Newman.
12 is clicking off some laps right now, isn't he?
He had to make an unscheduled pit stop, but he put on some fresh tires, and he is fast right now.
Look at this group of cars here getting all clogged up. Jeff Gordon, Bill Elliott, Jimmy Johnson racing through some cars. They're putting a lap down and racing for position.
Jimmy Johnson got blocked in there by Todd, who took that slide through the grass earlier. They really didn't get the damage fixed well enough for him to be as good as he was before that.
Got a pretty good race car. And by the way, the owner of this 54 car, Travis Carter, told me that he's formed an alliance with a British company, Pork Speed, and so we're going to have some folks in England involved in our sport next year. Travis was involved right now with Sam Belnavis, and I guess that will still continue, but another alliance. So
to bring another team in.
Yes.
Tonight, 11:30 Eastern and Pacific, following the race in your late local news. An all-new Saturday Night Live. Host and musical guest Justin Timberlake. Live after NASCAR in your late local news.
You see the 77 car there. Dave Blaney just put on 4 tires. So the cape flies out and you feel like Superman.
Yes. Big S on his chest.
We're getting to the point we're going to start to see some of the leaders come in for the green flag stops, and this is the time of the race where your whole night's work can get ruined by a mistake.
How about Ryan Newman just blow by Jimmy Johnson?
He's going to pass Elliott here in a minute. Dave, what's going on with the 12?
Yep, Brian has said basically nothing on the radio until a couple of laps ago when he radioed into crew chief Matt Borland. Matt, obviously the car is pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. He says a lot, doesn't he, Dave? But, you know, he does say a lot with a few words.
He really does, and he captures the obvious, but he's just technical, and he tells you like it is, and that's the way it is. Look, guys, this thing is fast.
So let's talk about this last round of pit stops. The pit crew has made, what, 3-4 pit stops so far tonight already? If they've all been perfect, it means nothing if this last one isn't exactly right. If the driver makes a mistake coming off the track to his pit box, this is all got to be done exactly right, because now is when the money's on the line. Matt?
Perfection comes back in dollar signs. You can see the wrench in the back window of Jimmy Johnson's Chevrolet. They're going to make a chassis adjustment. His car is just too free during that run. Tires going on the left side. Good stop so far for Jimmy Johnson.
And again, this is the only way he can win the race. Short pit. Get out there with some new tires and try to make up some distance on Tony Stewart. Dave?
Michael Waltrip's car has been loose. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment to try to fix that, and a wedge adjustment. You see the wrench going in the left side there. That'll fix that chassis for Michael. Matt?
They're already getting ready for the second can for Bill Elliott. His car was loose. That's why he started to fade over that last run. An air pressure adjustment in the right rear. They're hoping that's going to be the money adjustment. He's away.
All right, we got a difference of about a half second. The 48 car about half second faster than Elliott. Marty.
Well, Rusty Wallace has been tagged for speeding twice, BP, so very careful on his way in this time. Car too tight for Rusty. You see them go, the track bar adjustment, trying to loosen that car up. 4 tires for Rusty Wallace, and they tell him, when you leave this time, take it a little easy. Bill?
Bobby Labonte on pit road around to the right side. They're going to make a wedge adjustment just to try and loosen them up a little bit. Wow, they made a big wedge adjustment on that around to the left side. Marty.
Matt Kenseth had finally made his way back in the top 10, kind of languishing around the 13th position for most of this run. Car too tight, half pound out of both left side tires, and a pound in the right rear tire. That'll loosen it up a bunch, Bill.
They talked to Tony Stewart on the radio about what to do. A little over 30 laps left to go. He said just a tick in the left rear. So they do that. The right side tires go on. They come around to the left side. Jack underneath. This has to be perfect. Remember the last pit stop, they beat out Elliott. That was under caution. He's on his way under green. Slides around the car in front of him. He's on his way.
And lost a little bit of time there, Bill. As soon as Tony Stewart gets up to speed, we'll check the interval from he to Ryan Newman and see how it's all worked out.
Ryan Newman's going to be about a quarter of a second, a lap in front of him, I believe, as Junior completes his pit stop. Good stop for Junior's team.
Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin exiting pit road. Jeremy Mayfield is in. Go ahead.
Newman goes into 3 as Stewart's just coming out of 2.
Bill?
J.B. McMurray pulls into his stall around to the right side. The windshield tear off is taken away. Put on the right side tires, swing around to the left. Half round wedge out of the left rear just to give him the setup he needs to charge to the finish here. Left side tires being bolted on. He got tape off the front, couldn't quite do it.
So McMurray rejoins the chase, the last of the leaders to make a pit stop.
And right now, Ryan Newman has about an 8-second lead on Tony Stewart.
And he's still fast.
Still fast.
Check the gap from Ryan Newman to Tony Stewart. There's Newman. Waiting.
No.
Waiting.
There he is.
There he is. About a quarter lap.
8 seconds.
Now, Stewart has fresher tires.
He's going to be faster. Can he be fast enough in the next 36 laps, 35 laps or so?
So he's got 7.9 seconds and 36 laps to make it up.
Yeah.
Dave?
Quarter of a second a lap.
Well, here's a discussion this weekend. Obviously, Ryan Newman doing this, he has actually short pitted now. He is pitted last first. And I talked with guys this weekend about whether track position would be that important here at Charlotte. And they said, you know what? Said this is such an old racetrack that it kind of harkens back to the days when we didn't track position race quite so much. So I don't know if this is going to work out for Newman or not.
Speeds at the line. Check the relative speeds of Ryan Newman and the other top 10, including Tony Stewart.
Well, Newman won't be the quickest.
Once Tony gets here.
He'll be quickest for a while.
There you go.
Wasn't a lot of difference.
But that's pretty close, yeah.
As a matter of fact, Tony that time only ran 2/100ths of a second faster than Ryan Newman.
But the farther Ryan Newman goes toward the finish, the more he's going to slow down relative to Tony.
My guess is that Tony ran across some traffic in that lap that slowed him down.
So they're done making pit stops for the night. And now the question simply becomes, does Tony Stewart have enough speed over Ryan Newman to catch him?
Here we go again.
Never earlier. Matt Kenseth talked about Kevin Harvick rather messing with him, trying to mess with his mind on the racetrack. Matt? Said Marty, I'm sorry.
Well, there have been 2 thorns in Matt Kenseth's side tonight. One is the 29, and the other has been his engine. He has been very disappointed in the engine, and there was a midweek engine change in the 17 car. The planned engine for this race was the same combination as teammate Kurt Busch ran last week at Kansas. That engine failed in the middle of the race. They built a new engine for this car up in Michigan, received it at Roush at 3 a.m. on Thursday, only had 7 hours to put it in and get it to the track when the garage opened at 10 a.m. Matt?
Kevin Harvick back on lap 300. His car was very loose, so they made significant adjustments in air pressure and wedge. After his first 2 races here, he hasn't had good runs trying to bounce back. Hasn't had a top 10 finish here in his last 3 Charlotte starts.
All right. So there they are, nose to tail again on the racetrack, racing for 9th and 10th.
And his first and second in the championship hunt. I mean, so Harvick does not want to lose points. The 17 crew told me this week we are not going to lose any more points this year. Mark it down. Right now they haven't, but if the 29 gets by them, they have.
Let's talk about Ryan Newman for a minute. Newman has won some races here lately by being more willing to gamble on how far they can go on a tank of fuel than some others. It's led to some grumbling by some of his competitors about how can they do that. They must be cheating, right? Well, Jeff Gordon told us earlier in the weekend, not necessarily.
I know that as many times they've won with fuel mileage, you know NASCAR's going through that thing, you know, really with a fine-tooth comb. So it's our job now to just find out how we can get better fuel mileage, how we can, you know, get our car out front like that when we need it, and just keep our cars going faster and making more power and all those things. You know, it just, to me, when there's somebody like the 12 car that's running as good as they are, wins as many races as they are, just helps and makes the rest of us a step up our game.
Benny and Wally, I did some research this week after some of the grumbling came up about Newman's team and their fuel mileage, and what's really worked in their favor is they've been willing to gamble on how many more laps of caution they'll get in the end of a race. Check out, for example, the bottom number there at Kansas last weekend. Yeah, they ran 78 laps on a tank of fuel, but they got 12 laps of caution. You know, I mean, up to Chicagoland.
It could have worked against them just as easy as it worked for them. You're right. They gambled, they thrown the dice a lot, and it's worked for them this year.
Dave, what do you have down on the 12?
Well, here we go. 66 laps under green is what they're asking the 12 car to run to the end. Matt Moreland radioed into his driver. We're probably too short, maybe 4. And of course, exactly, start laughing because they've played this game before.
We'll see. Check on a race for position here with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jamie McMurray. No contest there. McMurray by him for 7th spot.
Just drove by.
And Jeremy Mayfield trying to get back a lap from leader Ryan Newman.
Now Newman has given up about a half to 3/4 of a second a lap to Tony Stewart.
And then down in turns 1 and 2 the last time, the 12 car, something happened right there. The car just like it leaped to the right. So it's not the best car in the world right now. And Tony Stewart is now only 3 3/4 of a second behind Ryan Newman.
So he will catch him. At this rate, he'll catch him.
He was 7.9 seconds behind 10 laps ago. Now 3.7.
Oh, wow.
It's almost 4 mile an hour.
That's not even close. That time it was 0.8 of a second, 3/4 of a second faster.
Rusty Wallace behind his teammate Ryan Newman. Rusty, first car 1 lap down in 15th place. He's about to go. I wonder if Ryan's backed off to try and save some fuel for a few laps here, or if something's wrong with his car.
I don't think he's backing off.
I don't think so either. Because that leap that car took to the right off turn 2 a moment ago didn't look good.
There's about 30 laps difference in the tires that Ryan Newman has on and the tires Tony Stewart has on.
And another thing, you're getting passed. You're getting passed right now by guys that have good tires. So that's slowing you down as well, because these guys are passing you and you have to give them room. Bill Weber.
I can see him. I'm getting him. That's what Tony just said.
Quote from Tony Stewart, huh?
Yeah, he was talking to his spotter, said, is that him up there, 2 in front of the 4 car? Yeah, that's it, the 4's up there. And he's up there with the 2, he's right up there. He goes, I can see him, I'm getting him.
And I think he is. 20 laps to go.
Yeah, there's no problem.
Down to 1.6 seconds. Again, the deficit cut in half, this time in just 3 laps. It's not going to take long for this to happen, especially with all that lap traffic up ahead of Newman. He's got about 5 lap cars all right in front of him, all fanned out all over the racetrack, and Stewart's going to catch him in a hurry.
And again, it's harder to pass those guys when you have older tires.
Exactly, and all these cars that he's racing with have better tires than he has.
Fans wearing orange here at the Speedway tonight, getting excited. Tony Stewart's on the hunt. Kyle Petty takes his car to the garage. And here comes Tony.
Less than a second, 3/4 of a second between Newman in 12, Stewart in 20.
Now just car lengths. Johnny Benson in the 10, Todd Modine in the 54. Benson the first car a lap down in 16th. Todd now a couple of laps down in 23rd after his problem earlier. Tony Stewart has led the most laps in tonight's race. He's been out in front 5 times for 141 laps. It's not going to matter if he doesn't lead the last one. Last 3 weeks, third, and fourth for Tony Stewart. Ryan Newman has won a couple of those. Let's check how they got here. Ryan Newman short pitted, just when he got inside his window of fuel to the finish because he had a vibration on the car. He ran in the top 5, 6, 7 all night, but really hadn't been a dominant force at the lead. But by short pitting, they get out on fresher tires, got enough of a gap on the guys with older tires to get the lead. Maybe going to swing back the other way, that pendulum now. Tony Stewart pitted later than Ryan Newman. Never ran lower than 6th all night. I mentioned he's led the most laps in the race tonight, and now he's trying to use his 30-lap fresher tires to get back by Ryan Newman and reclaim the lead in the win.
Stewart got held up a little bit there in traffic.
He's behind the 10 car now, picking up some of that aero push and is struggling with it right now.
Where at the moment, Ryan is in that clean air.
Yeah.
Here's the race for 4th. Bill Elliott in the 9 trying to defend on Jeff Gordon. Elliott, another driver who spent a chunk of time out in front tonight. 27 laps. His crew got him the lead on pit stops earlier. That was lap 207.
All right, Tony Stewart has cleared the lapped car of Johnny Benson.
Right there.
So right now, nothing between he and the 12.
Watch right here. Pretty even, a little bit better than Newman getting into the corner.
I'm wondering if Newman just gave up a little bit for fuel mileage there for a couple of laps, and now he's trying to, now he's back after it.
It's possible.
Took a 10th off at that lap.
Pretty bright boy, Ryan Newman.
Couple of Indiana drivers. Ryan Newman from South Bend, Tony Stewart from Rushville. Very similar career paths up through the United States Auto Club's Open Wheel Series in the Midwest.
Pretty even that time.
One driving for Roger Penske, one driving for Joe Gibbs. Two very high-profile men in the world of motorsports.
Newman was quicker that lap.
Yes. You don't reckon he just let Tony get back there that distance from him and said, okay, take off, get the throttle now.
Yeah, if he could do that with the tires he's on,
man,
pretty good.
Well, boy, I don't know.
Hey, I just don't mean to interrupt you guys, but Tony's talking about maybe some water coming out of the back of that 12 car.
Really?
With all the water we've had the last few days, it might, who knows where it could be coming from.
Yeah, we have had a lot of rain here.
Still picked up another 10th that lap, Benny.
Yeah, that Tony was a little faster that time. Dave?
No report from Ryan on temperatures exceeding their normal range there or anything like that. So, but the one thing he did say was, guys, I can't do anything about this, which means he wishes he had more speed, but he just doesn't think, at least earlier, didn't think he could outrun the 20. So far, he's doing it.
Tony Stewart is moving around on the racetrack. Up in 3 and 4, he's running higher than he has all day long, trying to find some speed. Oh, 12 car slip again.
Yeah, I think you're right, Benny, though. I think Tony may be getting into that little bit of the aerodynamic push, and he's looking for clean air himself. See there? Yeah, that's
much higher.
12 car when he went up the racetrack there in 2, Benny. I thought that gave Tony another car length or so off that deficit. Was 4 tenths last time.
2 tenths.
2 tenths now. He's there. Can he catch him? Can he pass him?
I think if Ryan Newman makes this corner correct, he's having all kind of trouble down in 1-2. If he can make that corner correct, he'll be okay.
Yeah. And I think Tony's going to have to get, if he can pass Newman on the high side, that's going to be quite an accomplishment. But I think he's going to have to get underneath him. I think he's going to have to try to get him loose, at least get his right front fender on Newman's left rear fender and push that air in there.
All right, you know Tony got close enough now because all the fans just stood up. When he crossed the start-finish line that time, they all stood up, said, okay, the race is on.
11 laps to go, 10 the next time by. You know, it's amazing how NASCAR can run 500 miles, and this guy can have a 3-second lead, and this guy can have a 6-second lead, but at the end, they usually come up nose to tail.
Stewart now in on Newman's back bumper. 10 laps to go. He'll try to get close enough to use the air to push Newman's car up the racetrack.
Oh, there's a wiggle.
May not have to.
And that's all Stewart needed.
If he can just get that 12 car off the throttle a little bit and let him get that run on momentum, get on the inside, he's gone.
Right there. Stewart's got to get underneath him right there. Slide him up the track.
He got enough to turn it in. Not quite this time.
He's got to run, though. Oh, man.
Is Newman going to shut the door on him as they get to turn 1? If he does, there's going to be a big crash.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's pretty close to he's shutting the door.
Stewart trying to get alongside, not quite. Wow. Newman holds him off. Traffic ahead. Lap cars for the front 2. Sterling Marlin, Kevin LePage up ahead of these two as they race for the win.
And Stewart stays down low that time, Benny.
Maybe he was trying to trick Ryan into thinking that he was going to run high down in 3 and 4, trying to get him off the bottom so he could get alongside.
He's just emptying the bag of tricks at him.
I think Tony's where he needs to be. He's got to get right there. He just needs to be closer on Newman. But Newman's doing a heck of a job right now, taking away that air from Tony Stewart's nose.
Newman trying to protect that inside lane. Stewart just underneath him. Is this enough? He's got the fender there this time. Tony Stewart even.
And Stewart led that lap as they crossed the start-finish line. But Newman is going to go in. He's going to... Tony doesn't have that wall of air to lean against. Oh, but Tony's got him, I do believe.
New leader, Tony Stewart. Whoa. Now let's see if Newman tries to push him up the racetrack.
Just don't think he's got enough grip to do it.
Yeah,
you know,
race is over.
The 12 car doesn't have the grip in the tires to be able to make the 20 car loose.
Stewart out in front, 6 laps to go. What a charge.
Oh, man.
How about that?
Good stuff.
7.9 seconds behind and 36 to go.
Tony might have relaxed a little bit more than he needed to down in 1 and 2. Car got a little bit loose on him.
So in 30 laps, he closed up almost 8 seconds and took the lead. That's pretty wild. Tony Stewart, the defending NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion. Talked about it earlier, only 1 win so far this season. A season filled with, at first, some mechanical failures that set his championship repeat bid back, and then some distractions. Was Tony or was Tony not going to be back with this team after 2004? They settled all that. He's with Joe Gibbs Racing for a number of years longer, and their performance has really shot up toward the top of the scale here in these last couple of weeks.
4 more laps to go. There's some traffic in front of Tony Stewart. I don't know if that's going to play into it or not, but
I don't think so. These guys normally, when the leader's coming towards, you know, this part of the race, they normally will lay over and let the leaders go. So if you're a lap down, I think Sterling will probably pretty much get out of the way. Or is it? Is that Terry Labonte or Joe Nemechek?
That's Nemechek, 25, yeah. So Stewart now 3 more laps.
As you see, Nemechek stays up high, out of the way.
Meantime, the championship picture. Matt Kenseth had some anxious moments tonight. Remember earlier, the cap came off the power steering pump. Was causing him some problems. They came in, got that fixed. He had some anxious moments with Kevin Harvick racing on the racetrack. But Kenseth, after 2 tough weeks in a row, is going to bounce back with another top 10 finish as he runs in 8th place now, coming around for his final 2 laps. That'll send him on to Martinsville, Virginia next week with just 5 races remaining in the season in a bid for his NASCAR Winston Cup title. Now it's nervous time for Tony Stewart's team. They've got the lead and they're about to see the white flag. White flag is up, final lap. In a bid for his 2nd win of this season and his 1st at this racetrack.
say we got to give some credit to Jimmy Johnson, because he's pulled in to 1 second of Tony Stewart. He's a half second behind Ryan Newman for second spot.
But the track position he lost earlier, he'll not be able to make up. The defending NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion is going to make a very excellent late charge from 8 seconds back to victory lane. Remarkable late race run for Tony Stewart as he wins the UAW GM Quality 500 here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte. Another trophy in the case for the coach, Bill.
On pit road with Joe Gibbs, the celebration is underway. What did you think for those last few laps there when he was trying to catch the 12?
I gotta tell you, my heart was up here. I wasn't thinking anything. I was just praying the last few laps. Great day today for Home Depot. Say Bob, John, all the guys, really appreciate it. I know Bob there cheering for us, and we appreciate it. You know, the Home Depot guys, they've been great for us. Tony was great today. The team was great. Lord bless us, a great day.
You hear Tony say, I can see him, I can catch him?
Yeah, I heard him say that. I was getting a little worried there, though. We had a tough time catching him, but hey, great day for all the guys. Appreciate it. Lord blessed us. Thank you.
Tony might be stuck.
Yeah. Nah, he's got it going. Tony Stewart, tonight's winner.
He's a dirt racer.
Oh, okay. How's he do it, mud?
And we check the results of tonight's UAW GM Quality 500. Stewart, second win of the 2003 season and his 17th NASCAR Winston Cup victory.
15 cars finished on the lead lap. Benson hanging on, first car a lap down.
Only 4 failed to finish tonight. Kyle Petty. And those 3. The 4 who did not see the checkered flag. Pretty competitive race. 8 different leaders, 15 lead changes. Tony Stewart led the most laps tonight and won the race. Chevy congratulates Tony and the number 20 Monte Carlo. Tony will tell you, yes he will. The only thing that comes close to Monte Carlo's reputation on the track is its reputation on the street. More champions depend on Chevy. We'll be there. How about championship standings? 5 races to go. Matt Kenseth's advantage is 267. He gained a few points on Kevin Harvick tonight.
See, Tony Stewart has moved up 1 spot with his victory. Terry Labonte moved in the 9th spot.
Saturday, TNT 3 Eastern. Next weekend, NASCAR Busch Series racing from Memphis. And next Sunday, 1 week from tomorrow, NBC the Subway 500 from Martinsville. Coverage starting at noon Eastern time with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Next on NBC, except on the West Coast, your late local news, followed by an all-new Saturday Night Live. Justin Timberlake is host and musical guest. Gotta run. Tony Stewart has won the UAW GM Quality 500.
NASCAR's in high gear. Next Saturday, 3 Eastern on TNT. Busch Series racing from Memphis. Bumping and banging will keep you on your toes. NASCAR on NBC and TNT.
NBC Sundays, Law & Order Criminal and